Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson, and I'm joined with Makobura. Makobura, habari gani?
Good evening. Niko salama na shukuru. Asante sana kwa nafasi hii. Jioni ya leo kwa nafasi umetenga na wenzetu pia wametenga wakiwemo hapa the comment section. Tunashukuru sana na ni wakati njema ambayo tutazungumziana tujue mali vile mambo yataendelea.
Okay, asante sana kakangu. Naona umejitahidi sana. Leo umeamua kutuchanganisha na ngeli, tunasema hivyo.
Ngeli ninayo, nimejifunza ngeli vizuri, nimekuwa vile kama unaweza kumbuka uko nyuma, uko awali niliwahi kukuambia ya kwamba mimi ni mweledi wa lugha na sitishu na siogopi kuzungumza lugha yenyewe kwa sababu mimi mwenyewe ni mweledi dari. Ukikumbuka vile ndugu yetu Wala bin Wala alikuwa anazungumza akisema Kiswahili kutukuzwe, hivyo basi mimi pia naitukuza na napenda kwanza kutambua vile wenzetu kutoka Tanzania wanapojitokeza kuzungumza waziwazi mambo zetu, mambo za Afrika, mambo za Tanzania na mambo za ulimwengu mzima. Ni dhahiri kwamba Watanzania wanaamka na hivyo basi tunatumaini kwamba tutakuwa na jumuiya ya mashariki ambayo watu wote na wananchi wote wamejitokeza na wanajua wanaelewa hali na vile mambo yanafaa kufanywa.
Okay, asante sana Makobura kwa hayo, kwa sababu leo umeshtua wengi, hata kama hawakuwa wanatarajia. Naona pale dada yetu ambao tunampenda Judith anasema kaka Obura amebobea. Kevin Obura, what's wrong with your camera? It is weird. Hapa tena unaulizwa ni nini mbaya na kamera yako. Hiyo ni kutoka kwa Gypsy Corner. Ogodi anauliza. Kwanza kabisa Makobura, ningependa kukushukuru pia wewe kuchukua nafasi hii kukuja hapa ili tujadili mambo. Najua kuna mengi ambayo tunaweza jadili, lakini leo tunataka tupige darubini sana sana Afrika kuna mambo ambayo tunaona sana sana. Tutazungumzia tu kwa uchache tu nchini Tanzania ambao tutazungumzia maneno machache. Pia tutaenda pale nchini Uganda na vile vile pale Cameroon. Tunaona kwamba watu ama wananchi wamejitokeza baada ya wale wa upinzani walikataa matokeo ambayo yalitolewa kwa Rais Paul Biya ambaye alitangazwa rasmi kwamba alishinda uchaguzi ambao ilifanyika tarehe 12 mwezi wa Oktoba mwaka huu. Na historia inaonyesha kwamba huyo jamaa Paul Biya ni kama ataongoza kwa almost miaka 40, na ukiangalia umri wake ni mtu ambaye amekula chumvi sana. Sasa swali ni je, inamaanisha nchi hiyo hakuna wale ambao labda wamejitokeza katika uongozi, ama wao wenyewe waoni kwamba mzee umri wake umeenda? Kama umekaa katika uongozi kwa takriban miaka 40 lakini hakuna mabadiliko, sasa utatuaminisha aje kwamba tukikupatia miaka 5 tena utakuwa unafanya mabadiliko? Unajua uongozi huwa ni ile inafaa ilete mabadiliko, si tu mabadiliko yenye busara, ama mabadiliko ambayo inafanya maisha ya wale ambao unawaongoza inabadilika kwa njia njema. So hayo ni swala ambalo tutazungumzia. Pia tutasahau kuzungumzia jirani wetu wa Uganda pia ambao wanakaribia kupiga kura. Unajua kwamba Rais Museveni yumo pale na wako na Bobi Wine aka Bobi Wine ama Robert Chagulanyi kwa jina lake rasmi ambao anatumia. Pia pale wanapigana. Bado tutaangazia tu demokrasia, na unajua tukizungumzia Uganda aswa, kuna wale mavijana ambao wanaharakati ambao walitoka Kenya, that is Bob Njagi and Oyo, ambapo walikuwa inasemekana wameenda huko wakatekwa nyara. Juzi kate koti ilitoa uamuzi kwamba hawajui pali yao watu waliko, na wengi wanaharakati wengi wamepiga sana kelele wakasema kwamba Tanzania na nchi ya Kenya wanafaa wahakikishe kwamba jamaa wamerudi wakaungana na familia yao. Bado tu ni story. Sasa Makobura, leo hii tunaangazia sana nchini Tanzania. Unajua, katika ulimwengu na siasa ya dunia, Tanzania ilikuwa inaona kama ni nchi ambaye ina utulivu sana, lakini leo walienda kupiga kura na kizazi kipya walijitokeza katika walikuwa naandamana. Kuna vitoa machozi zilipigwa, pia vitu vingi zilichomwa. Wewe ukiangalia katika historia unaona Tanzania kwa sababu ni historia kwao. Unajua, ni jambo kama hilo huwezi sema Kenya ni nchi ambayo ikifika mahali wanaona kama vitu haziendi sawa watajitokeza, lakini leo hii tunaona Tanzania watu wamejitokeza wakaandamana siku ambao wanapiga uchaguzi, walikuwa wanapiga kura. Na vile vile kabla hawajapiga kura, unajua kuna mpinzani Tundu Lissu alikuwa ameshikwa na akastakiwa na makosa ya jinai, na siku 2-3 zilizopita alishinda hiyo kesi, lakini yeye mwenyewe aliamua kukaa korokoroni mpaka siku ile uchaguzi ama mpaka siku ile kura itapigwa ndio atatoka. Vile vile kulikuwa na mkosoaji sana wa serikali, alikuwa anaitwa Humphrey Polepole. Huyu alikuwa ni mwandani sana wa serikali zile wakati wa Joseph Pombe Magufuli. Akaenda akapatiwa ambassadorial role na Samia Suluhu Hassan. Baadaye akakuja akajiuzuli, akakuwa mkosoaji sana wa serikali. Baadaye habari zilitoka kwamba alitekwa nyara. Mpaka saa hizi tunazungumza na wewe bado ajui aliko. So kuna mengi ambayo tunaweza zungumzia nchi Tanzania. Hebu kwanza tuanze na wewe. Leo hii kwako wewe, kwa tukio ambayo ilitokea Tanzania, wewe unasema vipi kulingana na demokrasia yao?
Asante sana. Kwanza hata nitambue uwepo wa marafiki wetu wa dhati Judith Karitha ambaye anasema at the comment section, good year, look for interpreter Kevin will show you today. Okay, sijui anamaanisha vipi dadangu Judith Karitha. Vile vile naona Gudia anasema what's wrong with your camera, it's weird. I don't know how weird my camera is, but I can admit I'm using my laptop's camera. I'm using directly the laptop camera. Sometimes it comes out clear, sometimes, of course, depending on the internet, it is not very clear. So thank you so much, Gypsy Corner, for that. We are working towards getting a stable camera so that the photo will not come out as weird. Vile vile niliona Gudia akisema I didn't understand what Kevin said, but I hope you will help me. Usijali Gudia, ni vile Kiswahili kimebobea kikapaparuka na kikakuwa kikubwa hivyo basi zingine zinaweza kukupita, usijali. Lakini Judith naona ako hapa, amesema worry less. So acha basi niingie kwa mada ya leo ambayo tunazungumzia mambo ambayo yanafanyika Tanzania. Tanzania ni nchi jirani, ni nchi ambayo inaongozwa na Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan ambaye alikuja uongozini baada ya kifo cha hayati Dr. Pombe John Magufuli ambaye alichaguliwa na wananchi mnamo mwaka wa 2020 or 2021? Yeah. So upon his death, vile hapo wakati ambapo alifariki, Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan ndiye alikuwa makamu wake, na vilevile alipandishwa cheo akakuwa rais wa Jamhuri wa Tanzania. Hivyo basi alipochukua jukumu ya kuwa rais wa Tanzania alibadilisha mengi, na tena alikuja na mageuzi mingi ambayo wananchi, si hata wananchi wa Tanzania, vilevile wananchi wa Afrika walishuhudia na wakashukuru na wakasema mama alikuwa anatembelea laini sawa, alikuwa anafanya mabadiliko ambayo wananchi walikuwa wanapenda, na vilevile ilikuwa inaenda kusaidia Waafrika na hasa wa Tanzania kuimarika kwa mambo tofauti tofauti. Lakini hivi juzi sijui alitoa hii tabia mbaya wapi, kwa sababu hivi karibuni amebadilika na asikiki, haeleweki, hazungumziwi, hataki kusikiza, anataka kufanya vile anataka, na hivyo basi tunashtuka sisi hata wa Kenya ambao tumekuwa tukikuwa kama Kenyans have always been like African activists, because they've been out here pointing out all negative behavior or negative, political views or conducts that being displayed by the African leaders. So Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan hivi karibuni, vile nilivyosema, hajaeleweka na she's come up with quite a lot in matters of leadership, things which are really worrying in the sense that we are in a government, we are in a democratic world, we are in a generation that is well learned, a generation that is updated, a generation that understands and knows, and they have an expectation of the leaders and the government that they have. Unfortunately, this is not what we are seeing happening in Tanzania, because we have a dictator kind of government, a government that want to dictate, a government that want to silence, a government that want to abduct, a government that want to kill, a government that want to take people to court without substantial reasons. And these are the worrying trends that we are seeing, because among the people, Tundu Lissu, who has been an opposition leader for quite a number of years. Remember when Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan was inaugurated as the president, or when she took over as the president, she did promise that she would welcome and she would converse with all those people who had a divergent opinion on how the government was being run. And remember, he even brought forth Tundu Lissu, who was out of the country, and he did welcome him. And I remember the opposition leader coming out and saying that this was a good move, because what is required in the generation or in the leadership is a government that is uniting the people, a government that is considerate, a government that is listening. So, Mama Suluhu Hassan started on a good trajectory, but along the way, she caught up with the bad behavior, with the bad attitude, with the bad, I don't know, I wanted to use a vocabulary which I don't think is really good. But she has behaved in a manner that is surprising to the people of Africa. It's surprising to the people of East Africa, because she has curtailed the rights of the people of Tanzania. She has curtailed the rights of the people in the opposition, and she's not given them an opportunity to express their views, to criticize their government, to express their interest. And whenever they do so, they've been harassed, they've been arrested, they've been maimed, some of them have been killed, and this is not a good move. These are cries which we've received both from the opposition, we've received both from the citizens of Tanzania, we've received both from the activists, and the people who are concerned. And to me, I can categorically say that it is not a good move. It is not how we envisage. It is not, the plan that we as the people of East Africa have towards, the 2030 vision, a vision, of course, that is entrenched in in the working status of the East African community. It is a disgrace to the East African community that as much as some other countries are progressing well, there are quite a number of countries that instead of progressing well, they are taking the people back, and it is not a good sign. Again, one thing I can also say about Tanzania is that Africa has not really had the opportunity to have the female presidents, and being that
We
majority
did.
of the,
We African. There's a, remember Ellen Johnson.
yeah, I'm saying it has not had the opportunity to have majority or many of the female
Okay.
presidents. Majority of them, remember the one who was from Malawi, she also came in as a deputy, and she was promoted as the president. And of course, along the way, the people had problems on how she handled, the country, and interpreted quite a lot in matters of leadership. And of course, that also brings us back to the question where where the people of Africa, there has been a question on why they've not always given the opportunity to the women or to the female. I am not saying that we need to relook into the character or the behavior of the female presidents, but I'm only saying that it is a disgrace to those people who are coming up and they want to be leaders, because the few who have been given the opportunity have not really performed well, but majority of them have always turned out to be serious, chaotic, dramatic, um, dictators.
Yeah.
Remember what was happening in Malawi? A fine, a good president who turned out to be somehow a dictator kind. And we are seeing similar trend in Tanzania, one which is threatening the democracy, one which is threatening the rights, the rights of the people of Tanzania, and one that we all have to come out and and point out and to tell, the president Samia Suluhu Hassan that the line or the route that she is going through is not the right one, and she has to she has to rethink on quite a lot when it comes to matters of leadership.
Okay, thank you so much, Makobura, for that. And when we're looking at even what is happening in Tanzania right now, even they went to election like today. It is like one-sided election, because we are looking at the main competitor, that is Tundu Lissu, who has been in prison until 3 days ago when he won that case, and he decided that he's going to stay in prison until the election is over. So you find a situation whereby the election, I don't think like Madam Suluhu Hassan is competing against herself, because the contender, who could have been somebody, Tundu Lissu, could have made it to appear that you are having an election. But this one, to me, I don't feel that she's having an election, because there's no competition. An election is, as much as you might go back in the days of even when Magufuli was there, when they were competing against Lowassa, the late Lowassa, who was also the Chadema. Remember, before Magufuli came in, the people who were contenders, or people who were believed to be, or somebody who we thought, or people thought, that could take the presidential flag for CCM was Lowassa, and what happened, it ended up that Magufuli got it, and Lowassa was not satisfied, and he went and he joined Chadema. When he joined Chadema, all of them, and the competition was very stiff, but at the end of the day, the late Magufuli, ended up becoming a winner. So that is not what we are seeing with Suluhu Hassan. And remember, when Suluhu Hassan came into power, she undo some of the authoritative or authoritarian rules that were put in place by Magufuli, and this one also made her to be seen as the new dawn, especially for Tanzania. and he even over reconciliatory with the opposition. I remember when people like Zito Kabwe would go to the State House. We had the former Chadema chairman, he was called Freeman Boy, and we had Tundu Lissu. Remember, those are the time, immediately, those are the time when Tundu Lissu was outside the country after being gunned like almost 16 when he got these shots. So he was in exile. And Suluhu Hassan tried a level best to see that Tundu Lissu come back home. And what we are now seeing, we are seeing a Tanzania that we've not seen ever since. There's so many things that have happened in Tanzania today that have never happened even during the times of Julius Kambarage Nyerere. If you look at Julius Kambarage Nyerere, and when most of the African countries were fighting for their independence, Tanzania used to be safe havens. All this, including Nelson Mandela, Tanzania played a role, especially in South Africa, getting their independence. So, and that history that was made by the forefather Julius Kambarage Nyerere, Mwalimu, those are some of the things that are now being eroded by Madam Suluhu Hassan. And even if you look at what is happening, the internet now, when you go to Tanzania, there was no internet, there was total national ban live network. And there was disruption on everything that you see. And this one tells us another side of the leadership that is coming from Suluhu Hassan. And if you look at what has happened during the voting day and people are protesting, so which means the voter apathy, I think like by tomorrow when we will be getting those results, we'll see voter apathy, especially in Tanzania. They will not vote the way they voted because there were protests. And even when you look at what happened today, there's some musicians also who fall a victim of today. There's one of the Bongo Star musician that is called Bill Nass. One of his shops was burned down, and we have also one of the celebrities. She's called Shishi. She usually does food. Shop also was burned down, and remember, she's a CCM, somebody who is usually a very, very strong vocal CCM. And another thing that is going to happen, this will change the dynamic, especially of Tanzania. Especially, it will not be the same again, And if you look at now the history of Madam Suluhu Hassan, this is going to be in her history, and the world is watching, especially of what has happened. So Tanzania has entered a space whereby trying to fight to open their democratic space. Remember the constitution that the Tanzania is using. They're using the colonial constitution. So and people are trying to break from this yoke, and they're trying to create a new space. And even if you look at the formation and how the CCM has the CCM administration, the CCM administration is this administration that goes deep into the into the villages. Remember, when you come to Kenya, especially when you look at provincial administration, these are not they're not like political appointees, except to some extent, even if they're political appointees, but they tend to discharge their duties kind of like quite differently as compared to the CCM. When you look at CCM, all the appointees, including the chiefs, they have to be a CCM. So that's where it's kind of like different when you look at with us in Kenya. So, and another thing that also has made Suluhu Hassan to be looked at, and this one has also made our image, especially in the world. We've seen quite a number of people who have been tortured and disappeared, and this has become a pattern, especially in East Africa. I don't know what is happening, whereby in East Africa, it happened in Kenya. Remember when the opposition leader from Uganda, that is Kizza Besigye, Honorable Kizza Besigye, was abducted in Kenya. Remember that? And also remember people like Boniface Mwangi when they went to be part of the delegation that went to attend or to follow the proceedings of Tundu Lissu case. They were abducted and later found in the borders in Mombasa. We are also talking about now we have Bob Jagi and David Oyo, if I'm not, they are also missing, and they were abducted in Uganda when they went to support Bobby Wine. So this abduction about the East Africa that is taking place, and this one talks about on how opening up the freedom of speech and even leading the country, because when you're leading the country, there is nobody who will lead any country without getting to be criticized. That is something that is there. So as a leader, you have to know whether you're being criticized or not, but you have to lead at the end of the day. That is something that some of the leaders should be aware of. Yeah. So another thing that I was talking about the ambassador that was given a role to be ambassador in Cuba. That is Humphrey Polepole, who became was a major critic of Suluhu Hassan. Then his family has reported that he was abducted by unknown individuals early this month, and his whereabouts is still unknown. There was also another young guy that I hosted here. I think it's 1 or 2 years ago, if I'm not wrong. He was also abducted. He's also missing. So, and those are some of the experience that now we are seeing in Tanzania, whereby even the deputy party leader of Chadema, Heche, remember when he was coming to pay his last respect to the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, when he was passing through Mara, I think it was in Sirare, when he was coming to Kenya, but he was not allowed in to come in the country. Later, he was arrested, then taken to Dodoma, and he was charged with violating of immigration law. So that is the Tanzania that we are talking about, Mr. Makubu.
Maybe if I can add something, allow me to say this, that there's some bad behavior in Africa, and specifically in Eastern Africa.
Yeah.
This trend started in Kenya, but I thank God that the young people of the Republic of Kenya came out, stood their ground, and reminded the government that was elected that as much as they have been given the authority to lead the people and to speak and to govern, they still have to consult the people. I like what the Gen Zs or the young people did, because they brought back the political sanity in the Republic of Kenya, as much as the real goal that they had was never really achieved. But at least they brought back some sense in the political, in the politicians' minds, or their way of, or on how they were handling or running the country. There is one thing that I have to really acknowledge, and out of what the people of Kenya did, remember we saw similar things happening in quite a number of countries. After what happened in Kenya, we saw a similar thing happening in Nigeria. We saw it in Madagascar. We saw it in Uganda. We saw it in Tanzania and other countries. And to me, this was a good move. To me, this was a reminder to the people of Africa that as much as we are being led, well, we are human beings. We have our rights. We have the demands. We have all those things that we want the leaders to achieve. If they cannot do it, we are the people. We are the majority. We have to remind them. If they are not going to do it, we will get to use whichever formula we'll use to to reach them, or to send the message that we are not ready, we are tired with their behaviors and all those kind of things. That is one thing that hiyo ni kongole moja ambayo mimi napea wa Kenya. Vile vile, I like, to me, if you ask me, I like the move. I don't like violence. I don't like negativity. I don't like people fighting. But one thing I'm saying is that I like the fact that the people of Tanzania, for the first time, are coming out to defend their rights. They're coming out to speak on behalf of those people who feel that they cannot They do not have the capacity to come out and speak. I like the fact that they're coming out to fight for fellow leaders who have been detained with no, serious crimes. I like the fact that they're coming out to remind the president that, well, you have the power, but
Yes.
again, there are other peoples within the country who also should be listened to. I like the fact that as much as today they had it was an election day, majority of them did not see the sense of voting or coming out to vote because they felt that the environment is not safe for them to vote. And to me, I can categorically say that it was a good move. To me, I can categorically say that those who did not vote in Tanzania, or those who thought of coming out to remind the government of their role, to remind the government of the negativities that they are doing, it was a good move because that is the least that a citizen can do. And it is so unfortunate that a government of Tanzania, under the leadership of Mama Suluhu Hassan, did not listen to the people of Tanzania, did not give them a chance to be, did not give them a chance, did not even as well give the people in the opposition an opportunity to be heard. And to me, I can say that that is a serious sign of dictatorship, similar to what we saw in the Idi Amin Dada, similar to those things that we saw in the politicians or the political leaders who led Africa, and especially during the times of when the people of Africans were struggling to free themselves from
Mhm.
the colonizers. And I can categorically say that the behaviors that the leaders of Africans, especially those dictators, are trying to exhibit are true signs, are true reflections of the colonizers, are true reflections of uh, you know uh, the people who came to colonize Africa, and they only knew that they are the only human beings who exist. They only recognize themselves as the human beings. They did not recognize or even acknowledge the fact that Africans were also human. It is unfortunate that we have leaders within Africans having the same blood, having the same skin color, having the same melanin, who still are making it tough for fellow Africans to thrive, are making it tough for fellow Africans to enjoy life, are making it tough for fellow Africans to have the same opportunities as they do. And one thing I can categorically say as I finish is that the people of Africa, the generation that are currently existing in the entire world, is a generation that is sober, is a generation that understands what leadership is all about, is a generation that cares for each and everyone. It's a generation that is loving. It's a generation that do not compromise. It is a generation that do not care about tribe. It is a generation that is only focused on one thing. We are going to make it, all of us.
Mhm.
We do not care where you're coming from. The only thing that unites this generation is one thing. They all survive. They all make it. They all eat. They all go to school. They all live in an environment that is safe for all of them. And
All
to
right.
me, I can categorically say that that is a good move and they should keep it up. I can give you a good example. Remember what has been happening in Kenya? We have a leadership, we have a government, we have leaders. But see what the Gen Zs or the young people are doing in TikTok.
Mhm.
From nowhere, they mobilized, went to Kaluma Boys' home, and what did they do? They blessed that family. The other day, they went to this other lady's home,
Called
uh,
Mama Gift.
Mama Gift, and what did they do? They blessed the woman and the baby and their family. What is that sign? It is a sign that the love, the love, the unity, the
Mhm.
care within this generation is one that is going to save this nation. And how I wish, with
Mhm.
the same mentality, with the same thinking, the youths, the young people would come together and on that particular day of voting, they make it a priority on giving it a chance to the person whom they think who has the capacity to listen and to do as per the will of the people of Kenya. That is my take.
Okay. Thank you so much, Makumura. You know, when you look at what is happening in Tanzania, especially deeply, you look at it and you look at the democracy, and now we always see that each and every time after election, it takes the bold step of an elected president to make sure that he unites the people. But at this point in time, if we know that Suluhu Hassan, she's going to win. Actually, she's going to win. This is her first election, or the first voting that she's going to be voted in as the president. Remember, he took over from Magufuli, and he was given the presidential powers because she was the.
Brother Ben,
Yes.
allow me to interject.
Yeah.
I think we have to be truthful. Truthful
Yeah.
in the sense that, well, we acknowledge and accept the fact that there is an election going on in Tanzania.
Yeah.
But again, we also have to accept one thing, that the environment is not favorable for the candidates who are all vying for this particular seat. And the environment, it's only safe for one particular candidate. And for that reason, we can categorically say that there's only one candidate who is running for this particular seat.
Yeah, so and I agree with you. There's only one candidate because, like as earlier mentioned, I mentioned to you that this is one-sided election whereby it seems that Suluhu Hassan, Madam, the president for Tanzania, is running against herself because the main challenger, Tundu Lissu, his name is not in the ballot, and even I don't think like even ACT Mzalendo, their presidential candidate, his name is in the ballot. But now we know that after every election, what usually happens when somebody wins, you have to try and make sure to bring even those who are opposed, those who are criticizing your government, to make sure that you bring one country. Do you see this one happening in Tanzania? I might have lost Makobura. I'm
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was just asking, do you see a situation whereby Tanzania is going to be the same, whereby Madam Suluhu Hassan is going to bring all these people on board and ile ujamaa that was in Tanzania before, or it's going to deteriorate and we're going to see another Tanzania that we are not used to?
Okay. Okay. One thing that I've realized, Madam Suluhu Hassan knew that it was not going to be easy for her to win. I'm quite sure she's the president. She had the intelligence of how the people of Tanzania thought. She had the intelligence and she knows. And out of the intelligence she had, she decided to make it tough. She decided to rig. I can simply use that word. I think that is the best word. To force herself into this particular seat. And she's doing it by all means. She's doing it by blocking others who she thinks, especially those that she thinks are going to be serious challengers. And that is why we've seen Tundu Lissu in prison. We've seen Tundu Lissu in court for more than 2 months. What does that tell you? It tells you that Madam Suluhu Hassan was not comfortable and she knew it was not going to be easy for her to win this general election. And so she had to use all the formulas that she knew to make it to the presidential level. And that is why we've seen quite a number of restrictions being given or being put in place just to ensure that they do what we call suppressing the voter turnout, so that they do what we call selling fear to the people of Tanzania and giving an opportunity for his supporters or her supporters, an opportunity to come out and, to come out and just support his bid for the presidential candidate. And me, I can categorically say that this was not a good move for Madam Suluhu Hassan, because it is a reflection of bad governance. It is a reflection of greed. It is a reflection
Yeah.
of people who are forcing themselves into power.
Wow.
And if you remember, senior counsel James Orengo once said that when power gets into your mind, it corrupts, and when it corrupts, it makes you forget quite a number of things. It makes you think that you are the only person. It makes you think that you are the alpha and the omega.
Yeah.
And that is the state that Mama Suluhu Hassan, the president of Tanzania, is at. And to me, I can categorically say that it is not a good move that she decided to imprison, she decided to maim, she decided to arrest, and to take people left, right, center to court and to prison without valid reasons to do so. And this, of
Wha-
course, shows the kind of fear, the kind of greed in our leadership. And again, I can categorically say that all these signs are a proof that she's not a leader. She
mhm.
is not genuine in her leadership skills. She do not care about the people of Tanzania. She only cares about her getting the position of the presidency.
When you look at what is happening, especially in the Tanzania, whereby the biggest contenders or the politicians with bigger name and let's say the leaders, especially you look at Chadema, you look for especially there's Luhana Mpina who was disqualified 2 times from EC Team Zalendo. Do you see there's a context because like contest because like you're seeing like the people who are very influential or the parties that are tend to be stronger are not given the space to practice politics, or the democracy is being shrunk, and those who are very weak, especially like parties, smaller opposition parties like Cheuma and CAF in the rest, these are the ones that have been allowed to run for the presidency, you know, the weakest parties. Is
Uh,
this a competition here, or this is just like
this,
or is it a correlation?
if you ask me, I would use
Yeah.
as simple English as simple as this: that
Mm.
the election which is currently going on in Tanzania is between Samia versus Suluhu. That is Samia versus Suluhu. This is a contest between Samia versus Suluhu. This is a contest between an individual. And I can tell you, hawa wengine ambao umetaja, hao ni vibaraka vya CCM, na
Mm.
hivyo basi wamewekwa hapo kama vibaraka, ndiposa ionekane ya kwamba wao pia walijitokeza, wao
Mm.
pia walifika,
Mm.
they got to the tail end of the election. But the truth of the matter is, it is unfair, it is unprofessional, it is a show of a dictator or dictator kind of thinking or handling ways of things. In this generation, I can categorically say that
Mm.
it is unwise for the advisors of the president, Samia Suluhu Hassan, having advised her that taking to prison or taking to court the main contenders, charging them with offenses that are not clear. Remember, the courts are coming out and saying that there is nothing substantive here, but they are still being stopped from moving. The deputy party leader was being stopped from coming for a funeral. What does that show you? It shows you that there's lack of, hakuna uaminifu, na tena mama amejua ya kwamba ni kubaya, watu hawatampea nafasi, hivyo basi
Mm.
ameamua kama mbaya yeye akaji she decided to protect herself. Protecting herself in a manner that, unajua, there's this saying that goes that the dying horse, the dying horse, what a dying horse is capable of doing.
Mm.
They can
Yeah.
use their last minute energy to try and destabilize everything. And that is what we are seeing in Tanzania,
Mm.
because The president here understands that the ground is slippery. She understands that I mean, there's quite a number of people who have the
Makubura,
needed opinion.
Makubura, let me just ask you, do you think she understands the grounds are slippery? Because if you look at the leadership and how the CCM is, especially we call the, ukienda kwa mkoa mpaka tuseme kwamba wazee wa mtaa, they're CCM and they control majority of let's say that even those mkoa, kijiji, viwanda and all that. Is it fear because is it
Brother Ben,
yeah,
if you understand the politics of the Republic of Kenya, I can categorically tell you here that Gen Zs in Kenya have similar characters as Gen Zs in Tanzania, as Gen Zs in Uganda.
but do you
And
see this? Let me
I,
let
I'm, I'm,
let
I'm
me tell
coming
you
to that.
yeah.
I'm coming to that. You know, this narrative in South Africa, we have the ANC. It
Mm,
has ruled for quite a long, but I can tell you here, if you do a follow up on the last election that
yeah.
The South Africa had,
Mm,
ANC was almost being gotten out of, the leadership or the ruling. It was being taken out as the ruling party. If you follow the politics and the elections of the South Africa,
yeah.
remember what happened in the last election. You know, this mentality, as much as we understand, I am a Kenyan, I understand the role of ANC of South Africa
Yeah.
and how critical and the role it played to get, the South Africa to the stage where it is today.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I can tell you that the generation of today do not care about the past. The only thing they care about is prosperity. The only thing about the care is the betterment of the lives, making it easy for for the generation to survive. That is
Mm-hmm.
majority of what they care about.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why, if you see what was happening in South Africa, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, majority of all South Africans, if you tell them anything that is not similar to the ANC, they will not accept you, because they understand the generation. I mean, they understand the stories, the history of how the ANC came to be. But today, you cannot tell, a teenager about the story of the ANC. They will not really understand. They want to understand the plans that the ANC has today, tomorrow, and for
Mm-hmm.
the coming generation. They do not want to care about the struggles that the ANC went through. That is the mentality of this generation. It is happening in Kenya. It is happening in Uganda. I mean, in Tanzania. The people of Tanzania, the young people of Tanzania, do not understand and do not care where the CCM came, the role they played. The only thing they care about is CCM solving their problems today, tomorrow, and the future. Because you cannot continue singing that the ANC, I mean the CCM, assisted or helped the country in 2000 and what, in 19 what, and today there are people who are jobless. Today there are people who are not getting the right medication.
But but
You
but
know,
but but if you look at when you talk about the people who are jobless or the people who are not getting right good medication, but that is something that is common amongst African countries, especially.
it is. I'm just saying that this narrative of old parties coming out to continue with the mentality thinking that they still have the power,
Mm,
to hold and to continue being in president and holding all those particular seats, it's no longer there. If I come up with a party today and I tell you that the plans I have for today, for tomorrow, and for the future are
mm.
making sense to you, there's a higher probability that you will listen to me, but you will not listen to stories of how the world came to be. We are not. This generation is not interested in stories which had happened. They're
Okay,
interested in
but
what is going to happen next.
all right, Makubura, and let me. I'm going to ask you a question. If you're watching Brother Benson for the very first time, kindly just subscribe to this channel and when we have a conversation like this, the YouTube will notify you and you'll be part of the conversation. I wonder who will be congratulating Madam President after her guaranteed win. There will be, I tell you, there will be, because birds of the same feathers flock together. And I tell you, from tomorrow, just stay tuned. Go to the social media, you will see majority of African countries will be saying, congratulating Madam, despite all that. And I would also, something that also Makubura will be looking at, because I know there are observers who have gone there, maybe from the United Nations, from European Union, from Africa themselves. That I want, and this is where now we want to test the observers that have been given the mandate to come, and we want to see their report, especially on the voting. What are they going to say about on what has happened? And they have to look at it, because like voting, when it comes to election, is not only one day then when you're voting, it is a process. From the time you look at the opposition, we're not given good ground to campaign, from the abduction that we are talking about, from giving the smaller parties an opportunity to participate in election, knowing very well that they are weaker, So those are some of the reports that we want to listen. Especially, we will be looking at these nations, the observers, what they will be saying. Atujambo sana, Duari. That we are still on Uganda, on Tanzania, and also if this is happening in our neighborhood, especially the countries that is bordering us, Makubura, what can we learn, or what can we learn from what is happening, especially?
One thing I can say is that it's unfortunate that we have a leadership, we have a political class that do not listen.
Yeah.
In the entire East African community, in Africa as well.
Yeah.
Not forgetting, see what was happening in Morocco. A 90-year-old president, one who has been in presidency for 40 years.
No, it is Cameroon.
Yeah, Cameroon, sorry.
Morocco, we have a monarch.
Sorry, in Cameroon. See, look at the parliament, the speaker of the parliament, a 90-year-old. Look at the chief justice, a 90-year-old.
Yeah.
Look at the ministers, 90-year-old. What does that tell you? We need to wake up as Africa and fight for our rights. The youths have to wake up and stand for their rights and to speak about the issues which are affecting them. What we are learning about the chaos in Uganda, vis-a-vis the response of the people of Africa, I can just say that the political class do not want to listen to the people. They have their own reasons. But the truth of the matter is, if they don't listen, this is a wake-up call to them that the generation they are dealing with is an active generation. It's a generation that spreads and understands and shares. As much as they think that they are not aware of the things and the happenings within their setup or their environment, it is a fallacy to them. The truth of the matter is, this is a learned generation, a generation that has everything at their hand, at their fingertips, a generation that understands the world, a generation that, compares the kind of leadership we have in this particular continent. They compare it with other continent. As much as they've never traveled, they are fully aware of what is happening in Europe. They're fully aware of what is happening in the American continent. And they want similar things. If they hear of good stories or good activities happening in other continents or in other countries, they want similar things to happen in their country. Failure for the current political class to advocate or to deliver. The only thing we'll be consistently seeing in Africa is consistent demonstration, consistent mandamano, because a generation that is learned and they are idle, they have nothing else to do. The only thing they have to do now is to come out and use their energy to fight for themselves.
But Makubura, you're talking about a generation that is learned and a generation which I agree with you. But remember, this generation that is learned, sometimes they cannot fight the system. because we've seen at now what is happening in Tanzania right now. The majority of people who are on the street are the younger people who are on the street, but
Very
the
well.
system does not allow them. So for how long will they? Because if they try, some of them get abducted. If they
That's
try,
okay. That's
they get.
okay.
So how are they going to
Let
fight
me
this?
give you an example. Let me
Yes.
give you an example. Kenya has over 50 million
Yes.
population.
Yeah.
But the political class, I can tell you, if you count all of them, they are around 10,000 Kenyan.
Mm-hmm.
That makes maybe 1% or less than 5% of the total population.
Yeah.
One thing I can categorically tell you is that the masses are the majority.
True.
We've seen quite a number of countries going going to a direction which is not right. The reason why they are going into that direction is because the political class, which are less than 5% of the of the total the total population, do not want to listen to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever the masses are not listened to, the
Yeah.
only thing that will happen is chaos and chaos and chaos. And I
Mm-hmm.
can tell even the political class would not want that kind of environment. See or look at what is happening in Haiti. Haiti was a good country, a productive country, but along the way, the political class did not care
No.
about what was happening in the entire country. And
Makobura. Makobura. When you want to look at the history of Haiti, it's kind of like quite complicated because one of the reasons I feel that has made Haiti to be how it is that the political class have always decided to use the gangs. That's what's happening. And when you
and
look,
the same example, the
yeah,
same the same example still applies.
yeah,
When you have a political class that do not want to listen to the people, the only thing they will get into is protecting themselves. The moment they start protecting themselves, they'll be paying a group of people. This group of people will feel that they have the power. The next thing that will come up is a group of gangs. And then gangs are now uniting and saying that we are protecting this territory. And that is when you will lose the country. We've
mm,
seen, look at what happened to, which country is this? Where Muammar Gaddafi used to be. Where Muammar Gaddafi was the president. I'm forgetting the name.
mm.
Libya.
Libya.
Look at what was happening in Libya. Libya was one productive country, a country that was doing well, almost becoming number one in Africa. If they continue doing their things silently without being noticed in the continent or with other continents, Libya would be one of the best countries in Africa. But I can tell you one thing: whenever political class are not listening or listening to the ground, you will always find that um, even conflicts will be here and there. And whenever there are consistent conflicts, you'll never find prosperity. You'll never find a community that
Mhm.
speaks together. Whenever a community is not speaking together, you
Yeah.
will always find that there's a lot of what we call uh, how do I put it? They will all be kusalitiana. Let me use that word.
Mhm.
Kusalitiana kutakuwa na kukikuwa mingi, I can
Mhm.
tell you that is when you'll find the people of that particular country are even taking secretive messages to the countries which do not really have good intention
Yeah.
towards that country. And that
Mm.
is part of the reason why we've had quite a number of African countries not getting to the par or not improving in matters of delivery and service and even economy.
Okay.
So it is so unfair that we have
All right.
a small percentage of leadership that do not want to listen to the majority. We have a small percentage of leadership that only wants to enrich themselves. We have a small percentage that is entitled, and the level of greed in them is on another level. They
Okay.
feel that they are the only people who exist.
All right.
Whenever we have, I can tell you, a group of few people who feel that they're only the only people who are supposed to exist in an environment that has a majority, more than 95% or 90% of
Mhm.
them feeling that the environment is not safe for them. You will never have peace in that country. You will never have unity in that country. You will always see chaos here and there. And even
Oh,
those people who fail, that they want to look for riches or power or those kind of things, those
mm,
things will not help them at the entirety. What
okay.
will then happen is
Mm,
consistent chaos, consistent disruptions,
mm.
and all this are showing one thing: disunity.
Okay. Thank you. Just to remind you, actually, what took place today, especially in Tanzania. One news, but that I would say there was a deployment of military personnel who were seen in the street, and also there was a curfew that was put in place by Tanzanian's Inspector General Police Kalminas Wambura announced the curfew in Dar es Salaam as from 6 p.m. after hundreds of protesters in the Kimara and Ubungo neighborhood set a bus and a gas station ablaze. Local media reported protests in Magomeni, Kinondoni, Tandale neighborhoods with polling station vandalized in the districts outside the capital of Dodoma, including Arusha and Mbeya. It is a new. This is new, especially in Tanzania. Let me take this opportunity. Asili TV, how are you doing? I was in Kisumu covering the death of the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. I did not see you. Ulikuwa umepotea hata utaki kukuja online, but nilikuwepo Kisumu, Bondo, Kangoka, Jaramogi, and Opoda Farm. And what is our good friend is saying? May Lord Jesus Christ take reigns in Tanzania. We pray that so many people are not going to lose their life, especially those who are opposed to the leadership of the Madam Suluhu Hassan. Goodia, what does the Goodia say? Jera uoro wako morata wakwa. Haya, sawa sawa. Hiyo asila Asili amesema, hiyo ni Asili TV ndiye amesema. Okay, but Makubura, let's switch gear a little bit and go to what is happening again in Uganda. Uganda also, I think we are going to experience a similar situation because I know they're in the campaign mood. Right now they're campaigning and we've seen the interaction, especially police and those who are supporting Robert Chagulanye. Until when will the opposition, especially in East Africa countries, have that freedom that their democratic space, especially when it comes to the political processes of campaigning, are not shrunk? They should be given a free space. Let them campaign. You know, when are they going to have this, or when is it going to happen in East Africa?
First, I want to say that I thank God that Kenyans are awake. I thank God that Kenya has make.
Do you think Kenyans are out of the hook yet, and we've just add the bill?
I'm telling you, we are out of the hook. No matter the bills that they're going to bring forth,
Yeah.
I can tell you, I can assure you one thing: we are out of the hook. That is one thing that I know. I am a Kenyan. I've been on the ground.
Yeah.
There are some nonsensical things that Kenyans cannot entertain at this particular moment. No matter which bills are brought forth, they will accept, they will, but there is an extent to which you cannot press a Kenyan. That is one thing that I know. And there is also an extent in which they cannot entertain some nonsensical decisions,
Okay.
which are made in the boardrooms and then brought forth to be, to be put in place to run the country. That is one thing that I'm sure of. Kenyans cannot allow such kind of behavior. You've asked about what is happening in Tanzania. I mean,
Uganda,
in
I mean.
I can tell you, and I'm still mentioning and I'm still going with the narrative that Kenya is showing Africa the way. Kenya is showing East African the way. Kenya is like a benchmark. And the people of East Africans are partly seeing, when you are the towering, the country that is towering. You know, this reminds me when I was in high school. You remember those days you were in high school when you'll be told about these big schools, the national schools. I remember when we were almost sitting for our case, when I was almost sitting for my KCSE exams.
Mm-hmm.
There's one big school. So I had a relative who was teaching there, and so the relative brought me some papers from this national school. And you know, when I was given these papers, I was told that you revise these papers
Exam
and do
iko
not
hapa.
show it and do not show it to anybody.
Mm.
So me, I went and sat with around 7, 8 friends, and we revised the paper. And back in my mind, of course, I kept the papers, knowing very well that maybe these were some true exams, because that was the narrative that was sold to me. But I can tell you, I did a serious revision knowing that I had what was needed. Maybe if it was not exam, but the mentality that these papers were from national school stuck in my mind. And I believe that as much as, even if questions were not going to be as exact as what I had, I was sure that the papers had like
Mm.
50 or 60%. I can tell you it never came to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as we've always competed, as much as we've always been in the same environment, in the same locality within the East African community,
Mm-hmm.
Kenya has always been seen as a benchmark. Kenya has always towered above in matters of politics, in matters of democracy, in matters of economic viability, and it is a good sign. And you know, when you are the bench, when you are the number one, or when you are being seen as the giant,
Mm-hmm.
normally these other countries and the citizens, they will always want to know what is it that this the giant is doing. And then when you see the giant, their citizens are fighting, coming out each and every day, fighting for their right. Automatically, if you're not doing well, you will also tell yourself that maybe this is the right way to follow. And partly, I can tell you that East African community majority, and not just East African community, even in Africa, majority of the countries have always seen that if you sit down, if you don't fight for yourself, you're not
Yeah.
going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Kenya has always maintained its stability, courtesy of the consistency that its citizens are pushing, the consistency that its citizens are having in matters of putting the government or the leaders on toes, reminding the leaders that they have a role to play. And that is the good behavior that Kenya has always had. We are seeing, we saw Uganda when we saw Uganda almost embraced that. Remember when they were threatening to get to the demonstration, and their president, and their uh, CDF had to issue stern warning to them that if they are planning to do that, they will see fire, or you know, that they've fire that they've never seen,
Yeah.
and they had to cool down. Similar things were done in Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you, it gets to a point, it gets to the boiling point. You know, you can never, if the heat is too much, and the heat is consistent, you can never stop the boiling point of water. When
Mm-hmm.
it gets there, you know, it will always, something has to happen. Vapor and all those kind of things. You can never do anything to reverse that unless you stop the heat.
Mm-hmm.
That is what is happening in Tanzania. The
No.
boiling point has reached,
Mm-hmm.
and the president and whichever, you know, department, they cannot stop the water from boiling. It is going to get to Uganda as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I say that it is going to continue boiling, this is what
Yeah.
I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the leadership changes their style of leadership,
But
unless the
Makobura,
leadership stops
Makobura.
abducting opposition leaders, unless the leadership stops, gagging and stopping the people or the citizens from enjoying their rights as per what the constitution says, as per what is happening in other countries,
Yeah.
it will continue boiling.
Okay. And now, when you look at what is happening in East Africa, or when you look at what is happening in Africa, and we're looking at we are looking at the independence, that we look at what our forefathers, or the great men of our country were fighting for. Some of the things that they were fighting for freedom. They wanted to rule themselves. When they're fighting with the people who colonized them. Yeah. But now you find that some of those things that they fought, and the people who are now in the leadership are bringing those back, or are practicing those. So how do we say that we are independent?
I wouldn't really say that we are independent per se,
Yeah.
but one thing that we have to acknowledge and agree is that we are not yet there,
Mm-hmm.
but we are towards, we are making steps. We are not, we are not just seated, relaxing that things are going to work. We are seeing a progressive, consistent move by the people. We are seeing a consistent, active, group or citizens, and that is what we really need. We do not want a lukewarm or a silent group that is just seated there, wanakanyagwa, asemi umenikanyaga,
Uh,
anapewa slap on the right cheek,
mm,
hataki kusema umenipea slap,
mm,
anageuka to the left. No, we
yeah.
do not want that kind of environment.
Mm,
If you give me a slap on the right cheek, I have to tell you that you slapped me, and
mm-hmm.
the degree or the magnitude in which the force that you brought forth on my cheek is at this particular level. I have to, describe to you what I've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what we are seeing in Kenya. You press on them, they tell you no, you've pressed too hard. Kindly, next time slow down, or if you don't slow down, these are the repercussions. And that is the good move that I'm seeing Kenya is headed towards.
Okay.
What is happening in Tanzania? Let me give you. The people of Tanzania have been pressed. They don't want to say that you've pressed me too hard. And then someone comes again, press on them,
Yeah.
and then wamenyamaza too. They don't want to say that you've pressed me, too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how it is boiling. It is boiling nicely. This time around, they were pressed,
Yeah.
and they're saying that no, you have to slow down. If you don't slow down, these are the repercussions, and that is a good move.
And and
I
and
want to
and
tell you this.
yeah.
Allow me to just finish this.
Yeah.
Look at what happened in these developed countries. Um, Look at what is happening in these developed countries. Whatever is happening in developed countries is that at one point they were not doing well, but courtesy of consistency, courtesy,
Makobura, can you share a link? I'm seeing Leo Nyabaya is asking for link. Is it possible?
courtesy. Yes, I've shared. I don't know whether you'll be able to join from the Facebook. I think Leo, you can, if you can hear me, kindly get to YouTube, and then join via the YouTube. Click the YouTube from the link from the YouTube, then it
Okay.
will direct you.
All right. Thank you for that, Mr. Makobura.
Yeah. So I'm saying that the fact that you know when you're doing an implementation,
Mm-hmm.
you have to hear and you have to interact with what you are implementing. You have to get the views of the people that you are targeting. If you don't get the views of the people that you're targeting, you will not know whether you're doing good or well or not. And one thing that is happening in Kenya is that you bring forth something, you get the feedback. If you don't get the feedback,
Mm-hmm.
they will come and tell you that come for this feedback and implement it.
Okay.
There has been fear in other countries like Uganda. There has been fear in Tanzania. There has, and I can tell you, even in Rwanda, there's a dictatorship kind of leadership. That is one thing that we also have to point out. As much as things are working out today,
Yes.
if Brother Benson, I can tell you today, if I'm a president and I'm the president, for example, of Kenya, and things are working nicely. If you are my friend and then I leave and then you become the president, I can tell you, you will take over the leadership skill that I used to have. But that does not solve the problems of the people. You would have carried the dictatorship and all those negative things, and you'd want to perfect. The moment you start perfecting on the negative things that I used to do, you will, of course, never get to the positivity part of doing things. And that is the challenge we have in Rwanda. As much as we think that things are working well, there is a dictatorship kind of leadership. That is what has been happening in Uganda. As much as they think that Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is doing well, they do not want to accept the fact that there are quite a number of challenges that they are facing as a country. And if they don't stand up and point out and speak about those things, they are not going to be solved. And that is the situation that is happening in Tanzania as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Makubura. I'm seeing our good friend Leo Nyabaya. How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you, Brother Ben. Long time, bro.
A long time. I think you saw one of my clips and you're asking me, are you around? Yes, I was around.
No. You're not a good brother, Bana. You came to Mon Baba. I was just seeing you roaming my county, Siaya, all along from Homa Bay, and you can't even say hello. You're going to get lost. I'm the one who should be taking you through the paths and the routes over here.
What happened was when it happened, I happened to be on the way. So I was doing the covering. I was doing the coverage. Actually, I did all the coverage,
so that was great. I was able to follow up and I was wondering how comes you are doing the coverage and I didn't know you were around. But that was really good. You really did the best. And I hope you're still around or you've gone back.
I'm still around doing coverage. Actually, we were having another discussion, especially with some other journalists, and we came to learn more about history that some of it is not being taught in school, especially around that area. So we learned a lot, but that is a story for another day. Now, we were looking at Tanzania and what is happening in Tanzania on how Suluhu, Madam Suluhu Hassan has been. Look at the time when she was given power. She came with kind of like deconstructing some of the authoritarian rules that were put in by Magufuli. And he even came with a reconciliatory card, especially for the members of opposition that include Tundu Lissu, Freeman Mbowe, and even Zito Kabwe, all these big opposition leaders. And like Tanzania was now like she was giving a path that people saw her and saw that she's bringing a new leadership, especially in Tanzania. But now, as time goes, things have really changed. We are seeing a Tanzania whereby you cannot talk bad about the government. We are seeing a Tanzania where the democratic space, especially when it comes to political processes, is shrunk, especially to the opposition leaders. What is your take on what you're seeing happening in Tanzania?
Thank you, Ben. I just want to remind you that what Suluhu is doing is just a confirmation that these political vehicles that you normally have are normally not brought up by people having similar ideologies, but they're normally formed out of convenience. And the bottom line is that they're normally formed out of what is called numbers. Let us not forget that Suluhu was elected together with Magufuli on the same ticket as the running mate or whatever we call the deputy or the vice president. And
yes,
she was lucky to have resumed the office courtesy of COVID-19, and maybe she's a beneficiary of death that took John Pombe Magufuli. So one would believe that for Magufuli to appoint Suluhu as the running mate, they had similar ideas. But if you look at their leadership structure, is totally different. What Magufuli stood for and what Suluhu is currently doing are different. So that is enough to tell you that whenever people are forming the political alliances. The lesson I've learned is that you don't need to look at the ideologies or what you people believe in, but you need to look at how the numbers are balancing. So maybe or maybe not, Suluhu got that position courtesy of the numbers that she was able to pull, but they did not have the same ideologies. And again, it has also worked against the ladies or the female leadership. Remember, Kenya would be in the same situation had Raila Amolo Odinga been declared president. So we will be having the first female president through Martha Karua. And this is something that has really portrayed the females in Africa, specifically the African woman, negatively. Because, you know, when people are going to be drawing maybe some comparison, they'll be trying to draw the comparison on how Suluhu is leading Tanzania versus when we will be dreaming of having a woman president. And it's really, really, really been undoing to our ladies who are wishing to become presidents, because we'll be drawing conclusions based on her ruthless actions. But lastly, I still believe that it is only we Kenyans, the media and those people in Western countries, who think that Suluhu is driving Tanzania in a democratic way. And we are the ones who are still maybe hallucinating that Suluhu is really going to win because of the oppression that is maybe showing the opposition. I'm telling you, with or without people that like Tindi Lusu who've been imprisoned, Suluhu will still win. If you look deeply into the politics of Tanzania and these independent parties like the CCM, these things are beyond the political parties. They are like even religious. They are becoming part of religion. If you go to every rural in Tanzania, they even have the flags of these political parties. And the majority of the voters in Tanzania come from the illiterate rurals, not like Kenya, whereby we are having over 6 capital cities and some elites within cities. So these people in Tanzania really, really, really voted and are going to vote for Suluhu, irrespective of what we believe in from our comfort televisions in Nairobi and wherever you are. So,
Leo, I really agree with you. I really agree with you with that, especially when you look at the political waters of Tanzania. From the look of things, nobody can win based on the structures that have been put by CCM and how even Julius Kambarage Nyerere brought up CCM. But what is the fear? Knowing very well that you are well placed due to the fact that this is a political party that is so much rooted in the country. Why should you have fear and maybe practice issues that are happening? You know, like Tundu Lissu, you know very well that Tundu Lissu cannot win, and he still has to go through that.
I think that is where maybe the political advisors are doing wrong. You know, some of these people, they misadvise, because if I was the one advising Suluhu, based on the popularity of the political party, and maybe I would also capitalize on the political illiteracy that we have in Tanzania. You know, Tanzania is not like Kenya. In Kenya, I can say that we are politically literate and we know what rightfully belongs to us and all the processes. That is something that is not happening in Tanzania. Tanzania is the only country that you can even be punished for talking bad about just a mere political party. And the values that, how they value these political parties, they really submit to it as if it is maybe some form of worship. So the things that she's doing is just some misguidance. People are really misguiding her to keep on oppressing the people opposing her. Yet, in real sense, what I'm sure is that without even intimidating the opposition, Suluhu will still make it to get re-elected. So she really shown some bad character. Actually, she's a bad example to the females who are, as I've just told you, who want to become presidents and maybe lead in some political positions. The way she behaved. But we also understand, you know, when you are a female, they normally feel threatened and they feel intimidated. And it's just like when you are somebody who is short, will always try to raise their voice so that at least they can be seen. They feel inferior based on their height. So Suluhu is also feeling inferior based on her gender. So she has to use a lot of power so that she can prove a point that I'm also powerful. I think that is why she's doing all that.
Okay, let me just ask you, because like if you look at the history of Tanzania, the introduction of multi-party was in 1992, and they've had like robust debate and robust campaign. Look at during the time of Jakaya Kikwete, even during the time of Benjamin Mkapa, we did not see what is happening. So what has really changed, especially when you look at during the Mkapa and during the Jakaya Kikwete, and even during the Magufuli, when Lowassa, the late Lowassa, during the CCM delegates knew very well that he was the front runner in the presidential bid. But due to bad luck or good luck, I would say that Magufuli was confronted to be the flag bearer, which made him to jump the ship and go to Chadema. And they were given the opportunity to campaign, and they gave a very competitive campaign, and they still lost. And remember, during that time, all the opposition leaders came together and supported the Lowassa as the presidential candidate from Chama cha Mapinduzi. But and we did not see this with the Jakaya Kikwete. Now, what has really changed? What has threatened us so much to feel like, oh, I might lose, or what is happening?
I think we also need to acknowledge that with the advancement of technology, and the world has also become like a global village. And most of the threat and the people that Suluhu feared were not only Tanzanians, but she was more threatened by the neighbors, specifically Kenya. I remember she even went ahead to detain some of the activists who majorly came from Kenya going to Tanzania. And in her thought, she thought that these people are going to be teaching the Tanzanians some bad manners. People like Martha Karua and Boniface Mwangi were some of the people who faced the wrath of Suluhu. So because of internet and all these kind of things, I think she thought that people are getting exposed and there has also been some trend in politics, not only in Africa, but across the world. You've been seeing a lot of demonstrations. You've been seeing most of the people in the power being challenged, and the age-based uproar, like the Gen Z revolutions and such kind of things. So this is a disease that is spreading across. So maybe she thought that the only way that she can be able maybe to keep herself safe is to be vigilant and try to come up with ways of maybe bringing some fear, so that anybody who maybe thinks of going on maybe demonstration and such kind of things, like see right now they've had a curfew. They've decided to shut down the internet and such kind of things. Why are they shutting down the internet? Because the enemies, the perceived enemies are not in Tanzania, but she fears the foreign influence, and the foreign influence is through the internet. You've seen people demonstrating, and why are they demonstrating? Because they've seen Kenyans demonstrate and they've been successful. They've seen what has been happening in these African countries. They've seen the one-term thing becoming reality in the recent elections. So you need to be careful. So the only way to be careful is to unleash some terror and maybe introduce some fear among the citizens, and that is what she's exactly doing. So she's following a script.
Okay. Let me just ask you before I bring in our friend Makobura. When you look at what has really happened, what has really happened in Tanzania, it is a historical, based the fact that they've never seen a protest going to an extent whereby the building or even the stations are being touched or put set on fire. And when you see this one is happening, does it mean now, despite the rigidity or despite those tough laws that they're putting in place, or those fear that they're putting on the voters, they are trying very hard now to open that democratic space? Now they are fighting so hard. They say that we have to open this democratic space, and by calling for reforms and even going to protest, which did not happen even during the time of Jakaya to that extent, whereby they would stop the normal operation of the towns like Dar es Salaam, Bear, and Ubungo in Dar es Salaam.
Yeah, I think what we've seen that has happened in Tanzania has never been seen before. These are people who have never known how to go on the streets. And what we saw today is just enough to tell any other leader that the, things are changing. And majorly, the internet has really influenced the changes. And the next revolution that we're going to have is going to be the revolution that is going to be maybe motivated by what we see in internet. These are people who are not meeting anywhere physically to organize for these demonstrations, but they're just meeting online. You saw what happened in Kenya last year when we were having the Gen Z revolution. People were never meeting physically, and that is a kind of a dangerous revolution that can ever happen, because in cases whereby people are missing physically, like what used to happen before, with the intelligence of the government, these kind of plans will always be thwarted and are reverted. But currently, it is impossible. People are just sending messages on WhatsApp and on TikTok and everywhere. Then all of a sudden, some few people start the demos and they share the videos, and this keeps on motivating 1, 2, 3. If you were in Kenya in 2007, I wasn't old enough, but I can remember some few things. You'll find that the chaos were being fueled by the media that will report that certain things have happened in certain areas. So the best way the government will be able to control this was to shut down the media. And once the media had been shut down, it means that the incitement and maybe the incitement of the chaos would have been reduced and managed. But currently, you cannot control that, because you don't need KBC or any other media to come and report to you what is happening in Kisumu. Just a single person takes the live video and they even go live. So you see, oh, the people of Kisumu have started demonstrating. So the people of Mombasa and other towns are also proceeding. And that is what happened in Tanzania. And that is the main reason why they even decided to shut down the internet, because with that, they found that things were escalating at a faster rate. And if not carefully put into control, then the country was going to be chaotic. And we are going to see this not only in Tanzania. I think it's an awakening moment. Even Uganda, as they are going to go on the elections, we are going to see such kind of things happening. So that tells you that at a point, it's going to reach a point whereby the entire world is going to be controlled, maybe emotionally and even politically, by the social media. So people will be saying, if Kenyans were able to demonstrate and were able to sit in Facebook, why can't we also demonstrate and such kind of things? So we are living in a situation whereby people either have to do the right thing, or they just have to quit politics, because you can no longer hide and control people using the state machinery and all those powers that you have.
Okay, thank you so much. I will don't leave the studio. I will invite you. I want to engage my good brother Obura. Miguda is okay. We spoke today, and he's doing fine. He will be here tomorrow. He was having some engagement, so I know after that engagement he was tired, and because we came very much late. Miguda, on what Leo Nyabaya has said, is there where you agree with him or where you tend to disagree with him?
I agree with the fact that this is a generation, just like I'd said, this is an active generation, a generation that understands what is right and what is wrong. This is a generation that is not fearful. This is a generation that would come out and tell you that this is right, this can work, this we don't want this. And again, this is not a fearful generation. It's a generation that if you force them with something, they come out and tell you that no, we can't go this way. And if you continue forcing them, then they have to react. And again, this is a generation that you do negative things, they will know that you're doing negative things. Of course, they will tell you that this is negative. If you want to continue doing that negative, it is upon you, continue doing the negative thing, but they would have communicated. They're only waiting for you that there is a time that you'll be coming back to say you're to ask for an assistance. And the question they will ask you is, well, we did not, and we told you that this was not right. We gave you a solution. Did you put it in consideration? Those are part of the things that to me, I've always singled out, and it those are good behaviors, those are good characters that we've seen among this generation. I also want to add something on what you said about Tanzania and Uganda. Tanzania and Uganda, they're not far much behind Kenya. They can do good, they can do well. Kenya set the pace. Let them just follow the direction. And to the leadership of these other regions, I think they have to get one thing into their mind, that there are few, when you're given an opportunity to lead, offer the leadership skills, bring forth the leadership skills that you have. Do not rule with emotions. Do not rule with negativity, or do not rule with a mentality that it is only you, it is not others. No, 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 no. We are a million of people. We have millions of people in a certain generation, in a certain area. That has to be respected. Out of those millions of people, there are clever people, there are learned people, there are leaders, there are people who can do it better. So when you are given an opportunity amongst, for example, in Kenya, we have 50 plus million. If we've given an opportunity to 10,000 Kenyans, that does not make them any special being.
When we told you accounting in,
okay, let me try.
Yeah, remove the other one. Yeah, good.
All right. Okay, I did it.
Yeah, so
okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying
Niko
that
sawa, sasa, that's right.
if you are given an opportunity to lead, understand the fact that there are people who has the capability, there are people who can do it better. Being that you've given the opportunity, you should not let you now start thinking that you're the only special being in this entire world. We had Raila Amolo Odinga, a long-serving politician, one of the best, one of his own kind, one of his own league, but the other day he left us. One that when we were growing up, we were told quite a lot, so many stories of how immortal he was. And some of us even believed that he would not die. We knew that he was, as much as he was human being, he was not fully human, but he came and he went. Today, he has left a void, he has left a big space that has to be filled. This space has to be filled with the majority, with the millions and millions of people. One of them has to come out and fill that particular, void.
Okay.
It is not. It should be a lesson to us as a people that we have to be truthful to ourselves. We have to be truthful to the people that we are leading. And leadership is all about listening to the people. It is all about incorporating their views. It's all about giving them a chance to also express themselves. If they want to express themselves, give them the opportunity. Do not see them as enemies, because part of a requirement as a leader is they give their opinion, they be listened to, and you do as per what they want. And
All right.
of course, that is what the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya also says.
Okay, thank you. Leo, I want to engage you, and if you look at what is happening right now, we've talked about the one-sided election whereby Suluhu Hassan seems to be competing against herself. And we know that after every election, there's that a point in time that there's somebody is elected as a leader or as the incumbent. As the what? Oh, Leo is gone. Okay, I think he'll come back, Makobura. Oh, we will, Makobura, before I know, because I know you are tired, and I know Leo will come back and we want to discuss this. So before we leave, I don't know whether you saw something that today Mr. President said when he was in Nakuru, and I was interested in something that we will discuss about it and look at the future of the country. Especially, I wrote it somewhere. I don't know whether I can get it. Okay, Leo Nyabaya is coming. Hello, Leo.
Yeah, Ben, I can now hear you. Sorry, I think I had some issues with the connection, but now I'm back. So you
Okay,
can now go ahead and engage me.
Okay, I will ask you, and this is something that I will I will also want to get your view after this. But now I'm asking you, do you think even after this election, after Suluhu Hassan will be declared, I know she's going to win, whatever what everybody's going to say, all the indication is that she's winning, yeah? Do you think it will reach a point whereby he can bring Tanzanian together and say that, okay, now we need to move forward as a country, let's forget about what happened in the past, and let's come together and run as one country? That unity and the unity that we used to saw with Tanzania and community, do you think that one is going to be there in Tanzania, or it's broken?
I think, Ben, I know people like Goodyear won't agree with me because they always have some predetermined perception on my views. Tanzania is not divided. It is the leaders, and specifically the foreign leaders and maybe foreign observers who view Tanzania as a divided country. Tanzania is the most united country, the most peaceful country, and politics have never divided them. So what is happening is just we, the people who view them from the foreign or from the borders, are the ones who feel that they are divided. And secondly, if Kenya became united after the hotly contested 2022 elections, nothing is impossible when it comes to politics. The fact that we don't have a strong opposition that maybe has got the machinery and the zeal to oppose Suluhu is enough to tell you that after the election, Suluhu will have to maybe sit down with Tanzanians and tell them that, look, the politics is over, the elections have been done, the winner has been declared, we have 5 years to build on our country, na sisi kama wa Tanzania turudi tuishi kama jamii. So it's going to be very possible for her to unite the country. It won't even take her a month, because after the elections, nobody is going maybe to give her that pressure. It is only in Kenya that it takes us maybe years or months to get back to business, because we've been having an opposition that is equally able to marshal maybe some masses and also the resources to keep the government on toes and maybe keep the elective bitterness burning. But in Tanzania, within a month, the elections will be forgotten and things will be normal.
What are you looking? Let me tell you what you're looking forward to hear, especially from foreign observers.
I beg to disagree.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me say this first before I leave. I mean, good brother continues.
Yeah.
Leo, or my good friend Laban, I think we are human beings, and I'm quite sure that you understand the emotional intelligence or the emotional behaviors of human beings. I can tell you, I don't know whether you watched what was happening in Tanzania today. There was a massive number of people who went to the street, and up to this night, there was, of course, a continued. I mean, the demonstration was still going on, and apparently their KRA, of course, was invaded this night, and almost all the assets in that particular building was taken. Okay, the reason why I'm bringing forth this story is we are human beings, and we've seen that in Kenya, we've seen it in other countries. All those people who came out to demonstrate or to say that they were not happy with what was happening, they had genuine reasons. Some of them felt or thought that it is not right for us to go for election if the main contenders are still not, we are not aware of where they are. We do not know where they are. We do not know they are, whether they are safe or not. But again, remember, this is a national election. Can you tell me, brother Leo, that all those people went for the demonstration Do you think that they will sit down and relax without having issues or problems? Let's say Madam Suluhu Hassan is, I mean, is sworn in as the president. Do you think they will just sit down, continue for months, for years, without criticizing or without coming out to continue or, showing their dissatisfaction? I believe they will. And as much as you're saying that Tanzania is a peaceful country, I agree. But I want to tell you one thing from my own analysis, it is not going to be business as usual. The people of Tanzania have woken up and they're not going to continue being silenced or being told that now we are done with the election. Let us follow this direction. Some of them, majority of them, in my own thinking, they will continue having that narrative that the president was not elected in the right manner or in the right procedure, and they will continue. They might not be doing or coming out to do the demonstration on a daily basis, but I can tell you it is not going to be peaceful as it has always been. Maybe you can give your take on that, Leo, before.
All right. Is that on John Ogenga or who? Just remind me. Is that or no? That is Jakubura, yeah?
Yes.
Makubura, I don't know where you are reading from, but there's one thing that I believe, I've been following you, and there's one thing that I know. You people just like living in denial. If you want to tell me that the people demonstrated in Tanzania because of some few clips and maybe some revenue offices that got destroyed. Remember, in Kenya, the most protected, the most valued, which is a symbol of national unity, called the National Assembly or the Parliament, was once attacked and invaded during demonstrations, and that one did not stop the country from moving on. So the first thing you need to ask yourself, you come from Homa Bay County, if I'm not wrong. That is the county of Tomboy, and most mathematicians come from hails from the same county. And when you are doing some sampling, you have to look at the size of the sample. So you have to look at how many registered voters are there in Tanzania, and what is their population versus the population that were demonstrating. You'll find that it is not even 10% of the registered voters. And I'll take you back the precedence of what happened in 2017 elections in Kenya, the repeat elections in October 23rd, when majority of the Kenyan voters, including you and the people from your constituency, boycotted the elections. When Raila boycotted the elections, out of about 14 million registered voters, less than half are the ones who participated in that elections. That one did not stop the Electoral Commission from declaring the winner and the country moving forward. So you cannot sit down and think that less than 10% is going to draw Tanzania back and stop life and the normal unity. So
let me okay.
That's a delusion that we need to run out.
Makobura, let me come in and maybe for Nyabaya to clarify, because he has given us a comparison here. And one of the things that also I want you to also to look at it in terms of the political processes and the spaces that has been created in Kenya in terms of fighting for the political space and democracy. So when you see that population that has never happened in Tanzania is happening vis-a-vis the population that is happening in Kenya, can't you see that when you're looking at in Tanzania, you feel like they're moving in the right direction of opening their political space?
Ben, I agree with you. We have to appreciate that they're moving in the right direction, and we also have to appreciate that their politics is changing. But another thing that we need to know that, however much these changes are taking place, we are not yet there. This is just the beginning. They are where Kenya was in 1992. So they still have about 20 to 30 years to reach where Kenya is. Kenya have not even reached a situation whereby we can suspend peace. And, it has taken us those years. So what happened in Tanzania, of course, as far as democracy is concerned and some political developments they're on the positive trajectory. But the only difference is that they still have a lot to do. And one thing that I want us to have in mind that the most populous voter block in Tanzania is the the rurals, and in the rurals people are not in Facebook and such kind of things. So influencing those people in rurals, it's really not something that you can just wake up and do it in a single day or within a span of 10 years. So they are still really far, despite the fact that they've started waking up. So we might be cheering them and telling them to catch up with us, but we are going to make them burn their engine. We are going to maybe make them overuse the little energy that they have, that they would have used maybe to build on their democratic spaces. They need to work on their judicial systems and such kind of things, and also work on having some police units rather than the police forces that they are having, before they dream of reaching where Kenyans are currently. So they're still far. Makobura just have to accept that peace is going to be restored there within 2 weeks. All this kind of noise that we see will not be there. We are going to be seeing them back supporting Yanga and Simba and dancing to the tunes of Diamond and the rest.
Makobura, what do you have to say?
Okay, I'm not really disputing what Leo is saying, but I'm only saying that it did compare what happened in Kenya when I heard him say that when me and my constituents, or the people from where I come from, that is the word that is just used, boycotted the election. Anyway, I'm not coming from Homa Bay, brother Leo. So just for so I wanted to say that I don't think it is right for us to compare those two instances, because what happened during that particular election that you've mentioned, that is 2017, when Raila decided that he was not going to participate in the second election. And immediately after that, remember what happened? There was an handshake. Before the handshake, there was a consistent pull up. There was a consistent there was a consistent, chaos all over. And if you can remember, brother Leo, if you can check your facts, remember that was the time that the people, majority of Kenyans, wanted the country to be divided. And it was a conversation that already was on being rolled out, if you can remember, until when the handshake came. And it is only the handshake that slowed down the plan that majority of people who had supported Raila Amolo Odinga wanted. Remember, they wanted to, divide the country. So that is one thing that you should check on, and possibly come with facts next time, brother Leo. Stop attacking me in a manner that is not you cannot substantiate. Anyway, apart from that, allow me to also say this, that what we are talking about, or the views that we are giving, they are based on these are just like a probability of what might happen. I'm not really insisting that whatever I've said is the exact thing that is going to happen, brother Leo. So I said that we are all human beings, and if you understand the psychology of humans and their behavior, you will automatically understand that if you feel dissatisfied today, there's a probability that you'll carry that dissatisfaction tomorrow, or there's a probability that at one point, if the person who made you not have that positive attitude, you see him or you meet him or you interact with them, and you still see them behaving in a manner that is not satisfying, there's always probability that you'll never want to associate or to be part of what they're doing. And that is what I was trying to explain, that majority of the people who went for the demonstration in Tanzania, there is a high probability that in future they will still not associate themselves with with the government. Of course, I understand and I know that Samia Suluhu Hassan, with all the negative things that he's done to the position, with all the bad things that, the structures that he has he has put in place, is going to be announced as the president. There's no doubt about that. But the truth of the matter is, we also have to say the truth. The manner in which he's going to take that, is going to be elected, is not right. First, because their constitution is not followed. I'm quite sure the constitution speaks about an election that is free and fair. I'm quite sure from what we are seeing and the things on the ground, it is not as free and fair. Something else is that the contenders, those people who are also vying for this particular seat, they've not been given an environment, an equal opportunity to also showcase or to also talk to their supporters, so that they can also be given an opportunity, to be heard in that particular country. That has not happened, and those are some of the things that we have to admit, and we have to say that we didn't see such.
Okay.
After saying that, allow me to also say that when we do political analysis, sometimes I feel, or I think, that we need to be truthful in the sense that whenever we come up with a fixed mind, normally in the political limelight, it doesn't really apply because there are quite a number of possibilities in politics. Nobody knew that after 2022 general election, Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto would shake hands and possibly get to a working environment where they would start calling each other's brothers, and all those kind of things, and getting into broad-based. Today, if you see what is happening, the arrangement that the ODM and the government have, it is one that not any one of us expected. Today, ODM is the one that is advocating and fighting and speaking on behalf of the government, something that nobody expected. And for that reason, let us not have like a fixed mind, because in politics there are quite a number of possibilities.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Makobura, for that. And something that I want to agree with Leo on especially what he said about the structures of CCM. The structures of CCM has made it possible for any candidate to win, whether she was Suluhu Hassan or any other person. Automatically, when you're given that presidential candidate, you will have to win because on how the CCM have been structured. Another thing also, when you look at the protests that were happening today, especially, they were in the major cities. Talk about Dar es Salaam, Dodoma, Mbeya. Those are like kind of like cities. But now when you go to, we call them mikoani, in the rural areas, the protest, if they happen, but they could have been in a very lower turnout, not as the towns that uh, uh, the towns that I've mentioned. But one thing that we have to agree, that they're taking the steps. They've moved the step in terms of fighting for the expansion. They are expanding their democratic space, and that's how Kenya started even during the Kanu regime. And it will reach a point. People like Tindilisu are opening those spaces. Heche are opening those spaces, and other oppositions who are fighting for reforms. It will reach a time. This is just the journey that they started, but they still have a long way to go. When you look at the history of Kenya, we just buried the Raila Odinga the other day, the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga the other day, and him with others. There's so much that they contributed, even to the fruits that people are enjoying today. So one thing that we have to agree, the Tanzania, this is a remarkable, is a history that they are making, but the road to that path they still have a long way to go. Now, before we wind up, I just want to know this is something that maybe tomorrow, if we get time, we will talk about it. And I quote, this is what President said today: wale waliokuwa wananisumbua na sufuria kwa kichwa sasa wameondoka. I quote the president. That's what he said. What does that one mean?
Ben, I don't know how true that is. I've seen that caption in this Channel 7. I've never believed
it was,
despite the fact that I know the owner of the channel is more propagandist than I.
No,
but
it just wait tomorrow. Tomorrow, I've also seen it, but I did not want to comment on it. But what made me to comment, I saw it on another platform, and this platform seems to be legit.
Okay, let me not dispute it, but I'll tell you, if it is true that the president said that, but this president that we're having, Ruto is somebody who is factual, is somebody who doesn't like beating around the bush. What he said is true. The people who used to stab him with the sufuria are now on his side. With recently, my very own stubborn Secretary General, Mwami Sifuna, you heard him yesterday saying that they are reiterating their stand on the broad-based, and for the sake of Raila, it was Raila's wish that they support William Ruto beyond 2027. So meaning I've really taken a bow turn and is now supporting the president. So in other words, he was telling you, those people who did not believe in us, those people who did not believe that we can be able to deliver, after examining and seeing what we're doing, have now started believing in us and have now started walking the same journey. So in other words, he's trying to tell you that there is nobody who is now opposing him, only for the few who are not opposing it substantially, but are just doing it for the sake of trying to get some relevance. And with that, I saw Goodyear was asking me about the 2-term and 1-term. I just want to say that the 2-term is something that is inevitable. It is not a matter of how, but it's a matter of when. It's just a matter of time. The president is not going to have any opposition. I remember before that he netted Gideon Moi, who had to step down and allow his candidate. And if you saw what happened yesterday, they also they've also made some inroads in, is it Meru, where Ruku is, and the UDA candidate is going to maybe get a walkover over there. So the president has really mended ways, and Uhuru Kenyatta is also in the mix. And let nobody lie to you. Uhuru Kenyatta sent his representatives. The Kabogos are there, the Lee Kinyanjuis are there. So there is no opposition that is worth the money that William Ruto is having and the energy that he's having. So right now, anybody who is planning to take over should plan post 2032, because as at 2027, it's something that is done, it is sealed. So don't get surprised if Kalonzo is also joining the team.
So money talks.
Yeah, allow me.
Actually, Ben, all of you know my stand when William was elected. I'm one of the people who vehemently opposed him. This thing called the affordable housing, the SHAD, all those kind of things. I really took a lot of time, right from Tembei TV to Afrique opposing. But after, some time, I did not believe in him. But right now, I'm telling you, I've seen the progress that he's made, and I can stand and swallow a bullet on his behalf, trying to tell you how beneficial these things are and how realistic they're going to be.
Brother Ben, I'm leaving, and allow me to just talk to my brother.
Okay, ask a question. Okay, you can leave.
Brother Leo, first, this is Brother Benson Media, and here you say that your opinion counts. And for that reason, your opinion counts. But let it go on record that it is your opinion. It is not anybody's opinion. And one thing that I also want to dispute is this mentality of, the people who support William Samoei Ruto, the president. You have that right to support him. But I don't like this narrative of them coming, there's money, there's nobody who can beat him. Because I ask myself, you yourself, brother Leo Nyabaya, you are not human enough to fight. I mean, to stand for political post mpaka upate. Hii mambo ya kuona wengine ni kama they are the only human beings who exist in the entire universe. I don't believe in that, and that is the reason why me have a problem with the two-term thing. That people here continues telling us that the two-term, there's nobody who can beat Williamson. Kwani is he God? Is he ni mtoto ya Mungu? Hata Jesus was the son of God. He was the second person in the Holy Trinity. Let us be factual and let us be truthful to the people of Kenya when we are having this conversation. We cannot use certain terms. We cannot see other people.
I always like people who are logical and being factual. As we speak as that now, there is nobody who have said that is going to contest and is capable of beating William Ruto. All those people, we started with people like Morara. We went to people like the Busia Senator Okia. We've seen so many people come, and now, up
Leo,
now, I can tell
it
you,
is okay.
you are counting of people like Gachagua who still aren't sure if the law is going to allow them to contest. So we have to be factual. I can contest for any seat and win, but there are some things that you don't need. Your senses should just tell you that this one, I cannot make it.
It is okay. The only narrative that you are not supposed to continue in, my thinking is a narrative that
the narrative of two-term, we have to believe in it, support it, then make it a reality. Two-term.
Leo, can I ask you a question?
Ask me a question.
Leo, you've been in this country, and
yes.
we have to be truthful.
Yes.
You've been in this country. As a country, we've gone through a lot, and I'm quite sure you understand the problems that we've faced as a country. And one thing that you also have to know, Leo, is that in Kenya we have more than 50 million, the population as per the last counting which was done. But again, Leo, if you are somebody who has been traveling in this country, if you are somebody who has been visiting the entire counties, the 47 counties that we have in the Republic of Kenya, and if you're truthful enough, you have to acknowledge the fact that things are not working out. Things are not the level of service delivery in the entire country is not as per what we expect as a people. I think those are part of the things that you have to acknowledge.
I think you are talking of expectations actually, but
not
when
reality
now,
allow me to finish.
When we are now going to elections, we basically
finish and
judge
then I'll give
based on expectations. We have what is called what are you comparing the services today to?
So you give me a chance, I finish, and then
you might expect to have some happy family or marriage or something like that, and at the same time, when you are saying that my marriage is not working, compared to what? So when you want to compare what is happening, don't tell us that there's nothing, things are not working the way you expect them. Then can you compare what is happening now and what was happening previously? So you'll find that what was happening now, what is happening currently is better than what we experiencing previously. And the people opposed to the current regime are the people who are in the previous regime. So the problem is not the current regime. The problem are the people who want to...
Do you know what this government is doing? This government has singled out quite a number of youths in the country, and not just youths, quite a number of some psychophants. And I can categorically tell you that I've interacted with quite a number of people. There's a group of people who are on payroll of William Samoei Ruto, not just William Samoei Ruto, with the government. And they've been used to walk around to give a narrative that is not making sense. And that is where my good friend here, Leo Nyabaya, is falling. Instead of speaking the truth and acknowledging the fact that there are problems that the people of Kenya are facing, there's a lot of corruption in this government, and they need to come out and call it out. They are sugarcoating things. They come here telling us stories which are not adding up. They come here defending a government that is not functional. They come here defending a government that is killing youths. They come here, telling us things which are neither here nor there.
Okay,
it is absurd.
let me just engage Nyabaya on something, on a very candid conversation. Nyabaya, when you say that you are that person who used to criticize the president then, and now things are working. At what point did you realize that things are working? At what point did you change this mind?
That's a good question that I'll straight away answer you. One of the very most things that I opposed to are the affordable housing. But I thought it was just a dream or some stories, you call it stories, Ajaba. But when I walked around the major towns, starting with your county, Homa Bay, I was able to see the houses that are 70% to 80% complete. I walked around several places, Kisumu, Nairobi. I found this thing is a reality and it is happening. And having had an opportunity to visit several countries in Asia, actually, 2023, I managed to I was in Malaysia and also went to Singapore. And I was trying to look at some of the structures that are there. And I had to look historically how they came into being. And I compared it with the strides that the president is making. I said, this is the right direction. Let me talk of the sexual health, the SHA thing. Initially, when I was working as a sales attendant somewhere in Kisumu, I was subscribed to this NHIF. You'll go to the hospital. After the treatment, the bill will be paid. You will not know how much has been claimed, how much has been paid, and such kind of things. But recently, when I was checking on my SHA details, of course, I'm a contributor, you'll find that when you get treated, they will even tell you the amount that has been spent on your treatment. That means there's a lot of transparency that has been increased. They will be able to give you every detail. That is why the people who are complaining are those small hospitals that will be doing more dialysis than even Kenyatta National Hospital. And these are the people who are fighting the good thing. So having looked at that, and even how Ruto treated who is so believed to be the critics, we believe that if you oppose Ruto, you are going to be dead the next day. But I found out that even the very people who did not even give him the vote are the ones whom he appointed in his cabinet. If you go to places like Homa Bay, you are having the PS internal security who comes from a community, a region, somebody whose constituency did not even give him a vote, but he considered them as Kenyan. So surely I decided to change my perception on this man.
All right. Okay, that's good. And I want to engage you on that because this is a very nice conversation. I want to start with the appointment of people from you've talked about. So we've talked about three major issues that you've talked about, and I want to start with you. And I agree with you. Affordable housing is one of the very good ideas that President William Ruto has brought in. But like there's so many questions that people have been asking about affordable housing until today. As somebody who has interacted and I've worked and I've seen the 70% of this affordable housing have been done up to the completion. Now, you see, the affordable housing, when you look at it, there's the money that is being deducted from your salary because you're a contributor, you've said that. So let's say, for instance, like in Kisumu, the other day, I was in Kisumu, and we walked around. I walked around, even the one that was built in Limumba there. They're so fast. It's a very good idea. But now my question is, which if you can answer, some of our viewers who also want to know, because like you've interacted, is about the ownership. And how does the ownership comes? The ownership comes that when you are contributing, after contributing, you're being deducted, and you still can buy it at the market price. That is one. There's somebody who is not contributing, for instance, let's say I want to give example like me. Maybe I'm not contributing, but I have the purchasing power to purchase some of the houses. How is fairness there? How are you going to get there?
I think the major problem that we've been having is not the ownership or maybe ownership or fairness. The problem that we've been having is affordability.
Yeah.
As long as these houses can be affordable, humans won't be concerned much about who owns them. You buy commodities every day. If sugar is not affordable in the shop, that will be your concern. But if sugar is affordable, whoever owns that sugar, whoever owns the shop, is none of your concern, as long as you can afford it. So the key word here is affordability. Are we having affordable houses? Yes. Who owns them? That is none of our business. But knowing the owners of these houses that we cannot afford is where the problem is. But we are sorting out the issue.
Okay, now I agree with you. I agree with you. And I want just to bring you again to the analogy that you've given about the sugar. Let's say the sugar that you're talking about, this sugar that we have to relate it, we are equating it to the housing, whereby we are talking about affordability and the somebody who owns the same sugar. You are told that this sugar, you are paying, you are being deducted for that sugar to be produced. Yes. Then at the same time you're being deducted for that sugar to be produced, you, the same person who is being deducted, you're still told that you have to pay some money for you to get that sugar. So this comes a person who does not contribute for that sugar. Yes, it is affordable, but you're being deducted. Then there's somebody who is not contributing for it, but can have the purchasing power of that sugar. At the end of the day, he buys. But who is contributing, you're not going to get it because you don't have that affordability. How is that one fair? That is one. Then another thing that I want you to also to answer me, that I want to come when you're balancing off your books. I know that you have knowledge about accounting. There's what we call the debit and the credit, especially for the accounts to balance. In this case, you are being deducted. Yeah. Let's say that at the end of the day, you've been deducted up to the time you're buying this house at the market value. You've contributed up to about 1.5, and now you want this house, and you pay another 1.5, the market value. So can't you see that is a double? So which means at the end of the day, you shall have paid 3 million.
I think the only problem is that the government hasn't spent much time to maybe make certain clarities and give some trainings as far as this kind of contributions are concerned. And what I know is that everybody who is being deducted to this contribution, they have got the first priority when you want to purchase the houses. But in an event that you're not interested in purchasing the houses, I think there is a clause that talks of how you are going to recover your money, because actually nobody can deduct your money. And this is not insurance. Actually, if it was insurance, then the money, the premiums are never refunded. But this is like some savings. So you're saving for the house. Then along the way, you don't.
It is not a saving, my brother. It's a tax. It is something that is being deducted from your salary. It is a tax.
It's a tax.
Yeah, when you are deducted, you know, when a deduction is taken out of your salary, there's no way it can be refunded to you. You don't refund tax. The only time that tax is being refunded, let's say, for example, and I want to bring you through this. I have little knowledge about account. The only time that the tax can be refunded, especially when you're doing your annual tax return. So what will happen? The government is going to see how you spent your money. You know, there are times that you've worked so much and the government has deducted less. Then what will happen is that, like, there's a money that you need to pay the government. There's a time that you've worked so less and the government has deducted so much. The government will have to refund you. That is the only time. And this one happens when you're doing your annual return tax, which should happen, which means in our country, sometimes it doesn't happen. But when you go to the developed country, when you're doing your tax return, you find a situation whereby you owe the government or the government owes you. Then the government will have to give you. So something that we have to agree is one. What I agree with you is that maybe the government has not taken a step ahead to explain to people, especially the nitty-gritties that people are asking about the affordable housing. It's a very good idea, noble idea. But there are these questions that especially so many people are asking about the ownership of the land and all that. If they can take us through and explain to majority of Kenyans, you know, it will be okay. The only place that I'm not seeing fairness, Mr. Nabaya, is this, and especially whereby, let's say that Kenyans who are in diaspora, you find that the Kenyans in diaspora, they do not pay taxes in Kenya. You know that?
Yes.
Because they pay where they are, but sometimes they are blessed to have the purchasing power. Yeah.
Yes.
So which means they can use even their proxy to get those houses. Yeah.
Yes.
You find that the Kenyans who are at home, they're being deducted, yet they do not have purchasing power. They will be missing out in all this. So if those other issues can be addressed and explained to Kenyans fairly, it will be okay. But it's a very good idea. When I was doing the coverage, I visited most of those areas and talked to people. The same things that I'm asking you, these are what people are asking. So if the government can take and explain to people more, then people will be convinced. And now talking about SHA, I agree with you, but the only problem that I have, the other day I was talking to an old lady. Actually, she was sick, and she did not register for SHA. So what happened was that we wanted to assist her to register, but what happened was that at the end of the, after us inquiring all this lady was going to pay 1,500 per month, which was resulting, if you add that 1 year. So we did not know the criteria of how you know that this is where you belong. That is the only something that I encountered, but I did not encounter with somebody who has gone for treatment and told me.
I think that one now depends with when you are filling the details. The government or maybe any other institution, you cannot come up with something that is going to be accurate, but you have to come up with ways that is going to enable you engage. So when they are gauging, there's some financial information that you put that will have to automatically gauge you on the level. Like me, when I was filling mine, I had somebody that I know personally, whom I know earns more than me. But when I was filling mine, I found that I was given, I was put at a place where I'm supposed to be paying 750 per month, but the other person was supposed to be paying 500. And this is somebody I know, her financial status well. So I don't know how it happens. But again, the good thing that I liked is that there's this option of Lipa Pole Pole, whereby I had to pay for 3 months in advance, then my account was automatically active. So what we need to do, you also note that the government has not done much to create what is called public awareness, so that people can develop a positive attitude and reason well with these things. So this one is what has created a loophole, and have given the politicians a situation whereby they can be able to play around with the information and misinform the citizens. Like this thing of SHA, there's been a lot of misinformation that it is not working, whereby they are not telling you that insurance cannot be able to cover your bills if you're not part of it. They are not telling you that you can't just wake up and go to the hospital and claim for SHA to pay your bills. They're not telling you that it is the role of the hospital to give the services, then the hospital to go and claim for the payment of the services that they've given. So you find that somebody from the village is blaming the government when they go to the hospital, and the hospital has failed to treat them. So when I ask these people, how do you want the government to give the hospital money for the services they've not offered? Why can't you blame this hospital? You are blaming the government because the hospital is not having medicine, and it is upon the hospital to stock medicine, treat you with this medicine, then go and claim you've insured your car. Why? How will the insurance pay maybe the service that has not been rendered? So see, the government has failed when it comes to disseminating information, and that is why we have to blame some public servants like some. Look at the ministries like the Minister of Finance. Since we had John Badi there, not that he done anything magical, he been able to engage the citizens and explain to them how, why things are happening. And that is what lacks, not in the dark.
Nyabaya, one thing that I really like, because there's something that we usually miss the point here. We are not about engaging, but we are after the service delivery. If you are engaging but the service are not delivered, then it means it means we are playing politics. Because talking about what you're saying about Mbadi has been engaging people, my question to you is, it's almost like over math right now, we are seeing the university lecturers are still on strike. Why is that one so? And you've been engaging. So what kind of engagement have you been having? So that is my question. It's about service delivery. You can engage, yet the service is not delivered. Then what is now that need for that engagement? That's my question.
And now when you talk of the university lecturers being on strike, you know how the universities are being governed. These people are on strike because of some of the bargain agreements that have not been honored. And some of these bargain agreements backdate during the time of Moise and the rest. So you
No,
cannot
but
just honor
if
these agreements.
Nyabaya,
Yes.
if you're talking about being on the time of Moi, but if you look at in the face of the government, some of those people who've been done those bargaining are still in the office. What is not happening?
They are still in the office, but they are in the office in the new bodies. You
No,
can't.
but anything that the government enters into agreement, it doesn't matter who was in power or no, you have to fulfill those.
So sometimes you also need, Brother Benson, okay, despite the fact that things are not moving as fast as we expected, and one thing that I blame the president is that he over-promised. But when it comes to delivery, I can say that the government is just on track, is trying to beat the deadlines and such kind of things. So why can't we just give him more time and see if he's going to fully implement this kind of things? Because so far so good. If you have to look at the scorecard, you'll find that things are on the move.
Okay, thank you so much, Nyabaya. Don't move. I'm seeing one of our supporters, our great friend from Mutembei to Njiru to Mzalendo to Brother Benson. Msimamo, habari gani?
Oh, msimamo long time. Huyo ni jamaa wangu hapa.
Bwana, safi kabisa ndugu yangu. Lakini niko poa, itakuwa si jambo la mbolea kama sitaweza kumsalimia jamaa wangu wa Mbavuni, mwana wetu hapa wa Mbavuni leo Nyabaya. Masiku jamaa wangu. Ama kweli mzee, milima na milima ikutani, lakini bwana we. Tumekutana tena leo Nyabaya. Pokea sana za msimamo tena kwa nguvu. Sana 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 Nyabaya na ndugu yangu hapo studio.
Asante, mzuri sana. Uko vipi kwanza?
Bwana, huku sisi bado tunaendelea, tunasukuma, bado tunatazama taifa letu, bado hatujapata la kuwa, hatujakuwa na tija. Sasa hatupo bwana, lakini tunamshukuru Mungu, uzima upo, tuagangamaa hivyo hivyo.
Asante sana. Mimi nataka kukuuliza swali kwa sababu hapo awali tulikuwa tunazungumzia jirani wetu hapo nchini Tanzania. Tumeona yale yaliyotokea, tuliona watu walienda wakaandamana. Ukiangalia katika historia ya Tanzania ni kitu kigeni sana na kitakuwa ni historia kubwa sana. Wewe kwako maoni yako ni gani? Ukiona Tanzania, nchi ambayo walikuwa nasema ni nchi ya utulivu na ile nchi ambayo watu wameungana, leo hii tunaona kama watu wanaandamana, wanaona pale katika barabarani na tunaona kwamba vitu zinachomwa. Wewe kwako unasema vipi?
Unajua ndugu yangu, sasa hivi kwa kweli wananchi wamechoka. Na hizi serikali za kubana vikohozi, wanajisahau kwamba kubana kikohozi na kuwa ngumu, lazima kitatoka tu. Sasa ndio kikohozi kutoka ni mlio utakaotoka pale. Sasa mbona umekibana kwa muda mrefu, alafu wakinatoka mlio wa waibu zaidi. So hawa wa Tanzania, mimi mwenyewe naamini kwamba ni wapenda amani. Wao tangia mwanzo wanaamini katiba ya chama kuliko ni katiba ya nchi. Lakini sasa haya mapya ambayo yameweza kuwatia uchungu kwa muda mrefu kwamba wananchi hawapewi sauti, yani hawapewi mbavu, wamebanwa zaidi, hasa wamemezwa ndani ya CCM. Na hutaki CCM, wewe unakuwa na ugomvi. Unajua huku hili ndio tatizo. Mfano haya mambo ambayo yamejitokeza hapa tu majuzi kwamba wapinzani wale wa kweli wanaitiwa ndani, wengine wanaambia hapana, ufai maana umekosoa, hujawahi kujiandikisha hiki na kile, kwa hivyo hautaweza kuwa katika debe labda pengine miaka 5 ijayo. Unaona, lakini vile vile uhuru wa kupewa demokrasia, kupewa vyama, kupewa uhuru wake haswa, ili wananchi wapewe nafasi ya kuweza kuchagua viongozi wanaowataka, imekuwa ngumu. Cha ajabu sasa addiction zipo, lakini vile vile pia ule upinzani uko pale pia nao nasemekana kutokana na vyenye ambavyo wenyewe walikuwa wanazungumza haswa wa Tanzania kwamba pia vile vyama ambavyo viko hapo sasa katika hii uchaguzi ambao ni vya mapinzani pia ni kwamba ni vya gushi, ni kama vimetengenezwa tu kwamba hili zoezi lifanye nini, liendelee, yani ili isije likakwama kisingizio kwamba hawa wengine wapinzani wa kweli kama Chadema na hawa wengine kwamba isiyo kikwazo cha kuzuia uchaguzi. So kwa kweli hii ni sawa sana kukibana kikohozi, lakini mwisho siku bana kikohozi kitatoka tu. Kwa hiyo kisatoka, jirani zetu tushawaona na tena wamefanya perfect hata kuliko ni sisi ambao tangia mwanzo, yani kwetu ni kawaida maandamano. Hao wenzetu ni mara ya kwanza, lakini wamefanya tena vizuri zaidi. Kwa nini nasema vizuri zaidi? Wao wamebaki na moja kwamba uchaguzi hautafanyika. Sasa ile no reform, no political reform, no reforms, no election. Hii yao wamefanya perfect kwa sababu wamengojea ile siku ya kwenda debeni na wameexpress sauti zao kwamba mama bwana, haya yako ulionayo ni yako, lakini sisi wa Tanzania tunataka haya ambayo tutakuwa tuna uhuru wa kuweza kuwachagua watu watakao. Asante, tachi hapo kwanza.
Okay, bado tu ndakunda kuuliza swali kakangu, ndio tuulize Nyabaya. Mimi nataka kukurudisha nyuma kiasi. Wakati Magufuli aliaga dunia, mama akapatiwa usukani, alionyesha nia na uongozi mzuri, kwa sababu jambo la kwanza alitoa ni kwamba kutoa zile vigingi labda za vigingi ambazo ziliwekwa na Magufuli. Kaona kaita pale Tundu Lissu, Zitto Kabwe na wale wa upinzani wote, ni kama ni kali ile analeta siasa ya kusameheana. Na katika dunia Mama Suluhu alionekana ni kama mtu ambaye amekuja na uongozi mpya, na ni kama alikuwa anafuata zile nyayo za Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. Lakini wakati alipatiwa ile uongozi na usukani, akawa na hiyo kwamba kusema kwamba nguvu zaidi, tumeona mabadiliko. Unadhani haya mabadiliko ya yeye kuacha yale ambao njia nzuri alianza nayo na saizi akageuza kuwa ni mtu ambaye sasa anatumia kifua sana, ni kwa nini? Ni alikuja akapata kwamba hapa katika uraisi kuna, tuseme kwamba vitu vingi, ama tuseme kwamba tuseme, naweza sema nini, uko na power, you have so much power that you can use, or ni ile power ama uongozi ilimstua?
Unajua kwa kweli hilo linachangia pakubwa kwamba hakuwa anaelewa zaidi ule utamu uko hapa kwenye uongozi. Lakini pia tuangalie pakubwa, kitu kikubwa zaidi nini akina nani wamemzunguka kama washauri? Akina nani wamemzunguka kama washauri? Je, Uganda siasa yake iko namna gani? Kenya siasa yake iko namna gani? Hawa viongozi wa haya mataifa kwa kweli, je, wanaweza kumwonyesha njia mwenzi wao ambaye kwanza ni mgeni katika hii kazi, tena ameipata haswa kimajensi, hakuwa ametarajia, kwa sababu ni kuondoka kwa hayati mzee Magufuli ndio maana akapata huu mwanya. Lakini sasa kwa mara nyingi nimemwona akijaribu kuja huku akiingia kule. So unajua siku zote mwongozaji na mchawi atambua ni mchawi, ukiongezana na mwizi utambua mwizi. So katika hii hali ambayo amegundua kumbe kwa wenzangu wanabaki kwenye power, kumbe ni ufanye ABCD alafu utaheshimika, labda kwake haijakuwa sawa, haijakuwa na bahati hiyo, ndio maana sasa kimelipuka, kimedoka upande ule. Unaona, huku kwetu tumezoea panga na panga hapa na panga pale na panga pale, lakini sasa kule nako kupanga pale, kupanga hapa, kupanga pale haijakuwa na bahati, kaka yangu. Kwa hivyo kweli amegundua kuna utamu, lakini kwa kweli kawashangaza hawa wengi ambao walikuwa wametulia.
So inamaanisha kuwa ni labda kuna somo alipata kwa wale waliomtangulia ama wale ambao wanamzunguka, kwa sababu kuna jambo ambalo ukiangalia katika enzi zote tatu, kuna jambo ambalo wanakubaliana, kwa sababu unaona kwamba kuna ile ambao unapata tu watu kupotea ulela ambapo wajulikani walipo, kinafanyika katika hizi nchi zote jirani. Inadhani kuna labda somo amesoma, ama kuna ile darasa labda aliwekwa akakalishwa chini akamwambia ili ufaidike ama ili ukuwe ni kiongozi ambaye labda ataogopwa sana, lazima ufuate utaratibu na kanuni hichi ndio wewe ukuje ukafaulu.
Ndio hilo nalosema, kwa sababu kama pengine utasema waliomtangulia Magufuli amefanya mazuri, in fact amejenga msingi imara katika taifa, ingawaje yeye ameenda. Yeye alisema hata msiponikopesha mimi nitajenga Tanzania kwa hela za Mtanzania. Kwa hivyo kama ni kuachiwa, alikuwa ameshatafuniwa huyu mama, kazi yake ilikuwa ni kumeza. Lakini hawa waliomzunguka sasa, ambao ndio jirani zake, ambao anafaa kuzungumza nao kwa kila siku, haya ndio mambo wanafanya kwao, kuweza kuzikanyaga sauti za wananchi, kwa kutozitendea haki sauti za wananchi, unaona. Ndio maana hata tumeshuhudia haswa ule wakati wa wanaharakati, kama vile ambao tunashuhudia wanaharakati wetu kule Uganda, kama vile ambao tulishuhudia wanaharakati wetu walivyotendewa kule Tanzania wakati ule. Lakini si kwamba labda ni wanaharakati, mpaka wao wenyewe wakikinzana na chama, basi unakuwa wewe ni adui. So katika hii hali nadhani alipata hawa waliomzunguka, alimwambia wewe bwana, wewe lazima utengeze jambo la kutisha, ni kwa sababu uko na power, uko na pesa, labda pengine jeshi kama litakuunga mkono, basi utafaulu. Nani atakusumbua? Kwa sababu haya ndio mambo yanatusumbua baina ya sisi na ndugu zetu hapa wa Uganda, kwamba pesa, power, alafu na jeshi likisimama, basi mwananchi ni nani? Lakini hapa naona tofauti.
Sasa wewe ukidadisi na uangalie kwa undani zaidi, kwa sababu kuna jambo hapa ambapo mimi naona, kwa sababu la kwanza, unakumbuka yule mpinzani mkubwa wa Uganda alikuja katekwa nchini kwetu Kenya, na pia kuna wakati mwanahabari pia kutoka kule nchini Tanzania alikuwa anafuatafuata watu, akapiga kelele, ndio harakati zake akapata, akaenda akasaidiwa. Na juzi kati pia tukaona pia kuna wale wanaharakati wa Kenya pia, ambapo wale mavijana wawili ambapo walikuwa wametokea wakienda kule nchini Uganda pia wajulikani waliko. Na sasa ukiona hii mfumo, unaonekana kama hii mfumo ni inafanyika tu, na hata watu wapige kelele au marais waseme yeye fanya hivi, lakini unapata kwamba matokeo, habari zaidi upati kuhusiana na hawa watu. Wewe unaona kama nchi za East Africa tunaelekea wapi tukiangalia demokrasia yetu?
Kwa kweli Mungu ana sababu na lengo, maana Mungu hachanganishwi na uchafu kaka. Kama tumetazama yale yamejiri katika kampeni ya Uganda, yanaishiria kwamba ni kule tunakoelekea kutokotoa Tanzania. Kwa ni kwamba sasa hivi Mungu anataka kuhakikisha kwamba yeye hataki kuchanganywa na uchafu, na ndio maana sauti ya mwananchi imepata amplify. Kenya we did it perfect, tumeutukisha ulimwengu, lakini sasa hivi kila mtu anakimbia kuiona haki yake mahali ipo, ambayo haki yake kikatiba. Maana hata katiba ya Tanzania inawaruhusu kwamba wananchi ndio kusema. Lakini tangia mwanzo wamebanwa katika hiyo katiba, wanaongozwa na katiba ya chama. So wameona tofauti wa katiba ya chama na katiba ya nchi, sasa wanaifuata katiba ya nchi. Na ndio vile vile ambavyo pengine huenda itatumika kule Uganda na hapa kwenye katika taifa letu, kwa sababu mfumo huu ambao unafanyika kwamba hawa viongozi, naweza nikasema ni Warabu wa Pemba, wanajuana kwa vilemba. Kwa maana mpaka sasa hivi wale wanaharakati wawili waliopotea, wale ambao tunaamini kwamba walipotea pande za Uganda, sauti ya viongozi wetu iko wapi? Sauti haswa ya viongozi kuwahusu iko wapi? Haki haswa ya hawa ni nani ambaye ataweza kuwatetea zaidi kama si viongozi ambao wameapa haswa kwenye viapo kwamba tutaweza kuwatetea wananchi wetu kwa hali na mali? Hilo liko wapi? So tukiangalia hili ambalo liko hapa taifa kwetu na taifa la Uganda na taifa la Tanzania, ni mambo ambayo ni sawia, ambayo hii ishara wazi kwamba hakika kwa kufanya hivyo, kwa kuweza kuibambanya hii nguo na ishachakaa, lakini tunabandika viraka, hakika haitarudi mpya ng'oo. Okay. Na ndio mambo tunashuhudia upande huu kwetu, mambo yanabandikwa, lakini hakika hii nguo tayari ishachakaa. Kwa hivyo kama itakuwa imechakaa, mwananchi akilipuka sasa na mlima wa volcano. Nitachia hapo kaka.
Asante, lakini usiondoke, bado niko na swali chungu nzima ya kukuuliza, na pia unajua, kabla tujafunga, mimi nataka pia kusikia maoni yako kuhusu siasa zetu za nchi, kwa sababu kuna mengi ambayo yametokea na pia kuna mengi mabadiliko ambayo tunatarajia kwamba kitatokea. Hebu acha nikaribishe ndugu yangu Nyabaya. Nyabaya, wewe kwako vipi? Kwa sababu hii mambo ya kutekwa katika nchi hizi tatu, wewe kwako labda unaweza sema nini?
Asante sana kaka Benson. Kwanza kabisa niruhusu nitume salamu zangu za dhati kwa ndugu Msimamo, manake Chakadume huo ni ndugu yangu. Na Chakadume, nikikusalimu kwanza, pia wacha nikupe pole kwa kumpoteza ule mwanasiasa ambao ulikuwa ukimwenzi. Ninajua na nina hakika kuwa marehemu Raila Amolo Odinga alikuwa akipendwa sana upande wa pwani, mahali ambapo unapotoka, na najua yale machungo ambao nyinyi watu wa pwani mko nayo mnapo mrehemu ule kigogo wenyu. Kwa miaka zile nimekuwa nikifuatilia siasa ya Kenya, siasa wa mrengo wa pwani umekuwa ukiongozwa na kupewa idara ama kupewa direction na Raila Odinga, na ndiposa ninajua jinsi mnavyo hisi wakati sasa tunakuwa tunaenda siasani bila Raila. Manake wakati tunasema kwa wale watu wa Western na Nyanza wamebaki mayatima, hatuwezi tukasahau kuwa watu wa pwani ndio watakuwa wamebaki mayatima zaidi. Manake kwa miaka na mikaka mmekuwa mkimfuata na mkimtazama kama baba wenu wa siasa. Pili, unapozungumzia mambo ya utekaji nyara katika hizi nchi zetu tatu za Afrika Mashariki, naweza sema kuwa ni viongozi wamekuwa wakitafuta njia zozote zile ya kuwazima wapinzani wao, ila bado hawajaweza kujua kuwa nchi na dunia imebadilika, na siku hizi kwa sababu ya mtandao kuna zile vitu ambavyo huwezi ukafanya na watu wakose kujua. Kitambo ungeweza kumteka nyara mpinzani wako na hata umweke korokoroni bila hata kupelekwa kotini na watu wakose kujua au watu wakose kuuliza maswali, lakini siku hizi kabla umteke mtu nyara, watu watakuwa wamejua ni serikali imefanya hivyo. Na hii tabia naweza kubaliana na Chakadume anaposema kuwa Suluhu alipochukua ushukani alionekana kuwa mnyonge, tena alionekana kuwa mtu ambaye alikuwa anakuja na mabadiliko, lakini baada ya kukaa uongozoni na akapata marafiki ambao wameweza kuionja ule utamu wa uongozi, na yeye pia akaweza kuionja utamu wa uongozi, akajua kuwa hiki kitu ni kitamu na haufai kukiachilia. So mara nyingi wanaponongozana huwa wanauliziana, na wewe Museveni, ni jinsi upi umeweza kuhakikisha kuwa umebaki uongozoni kwa huo mwaka wote? Na kila mtu anaweza kuwa anaambia mwenzake, mimi nimekuwa nikifanya hivi. Unaweza kumbuka kuna wakati Museveni alisema kuwa kupata uongozi sio kazi au sio shida, kazi ni kuulinda huo uongozi. Inaweza kuwa Suluhu pia alienda masomoni na akaweza kuelezewa kuwa kupata uongozi, kila mtu anaweza pata uongozi, manake yeye hakutumia nguvu mingi kupata uongozi. Wakati Pombe Magufuli aliweza kuaga dunia, kawaida aliweza kukaa kwenye hicho kiti. Sasa cha muhimu ni jinsi atakavyoweza kulinda huo uongozi, na hao wanasiasa wataenda njia zozote na wafanye kile wanachoweza ili waweze kulinda uongozi wao, na huo tabia ni kama umeenea na ni kama ni wanasoma kitabu kimoja. Sasa pengine naweza kusema kuwa ni hao wanashauriana na itakuwa ni vigumu sana kuwatoa uongozini, na kile kinaweza kuwatoa uongozini ni wakiweza kufika ile kiwango Kenya tumefika. Manake sisi tuko na katiba ambayo inasema baada ya kutawala term mbili uongozi wako huwezi ukaurudia, lakini kama hawana katiba, hata sisi hatungekuwa na huo katiba hadi siku ya leo, bado tungekuwa na Uhuru Kenyatta kama rais, ama Kibaki angekufa afisini. Kile Watanzania na Waganda wanaweza fanya ni kupigania katiba kwanza, na waweze kuwa na katiba ambayo inasema kuna kiwango cha mtu kuwa rais, ambapo hizo miaka zikipita na iwe ni kawaida kubadilisha uongozi. Na mara nyingi utakubaliana na mimi, ikifika wakati wa kubadilisha uongozi kwa kikatiba, hapo ndipo huwa kila mtu ako na nafasi sawa. Ruto alikuwa rais kwa sababu huo wakati Uhuru Kenyatta alikuwa anaenda kuretire. Aingekuwa anaenda kuretire, Uhuru Kenyatta bado angefanya juu chini hakikishe kuwa amebaki uongozini. So ni vigumu sana kutoa rais ambaye ako Afrika kwenye uongozi kama hatuna katiba ambayo inasema kuwa baada ya miaka fulani hautakuwa umeruhusiwa kuwania hicho kiti. Hiyo ni ndoto ambayo tutaitimiza, lakini sio leo, bado itachukua miaka na miaka. So Watanzania na Waganda wakitaka njia mzuri au mfumo mzuri wa kutoa na kubadilisha rais, basi watengeneze katiba ambayo inawapatia limit. Wacha nitaachia hapo kwa sasa, alafu naamini mmeweza kunipata. Kiswahili si ufahamu vizuri, lakini nimejaribu jinsi ninavyoweza.
Asante kaka, asante sana kakangu. Na sasa tukisema labda kwa hayo yote ambayo umesema, na ukiangalia wakati hizi nchi zote tatu zilikuwa zinatafuta uhuru, na uhuru ilikuwa unapata kwamba wale ambao walikuwa wanapigania uhuru sana sana, viongozi wao walikuwa wanashikwa na wale mabeberu, na hayo tu ndio tunaona marudiano, ama tunasema kitu ambacho kinajirudia. Tunaweza sema kwamba historia kinajirudia. Unapata kwamba watoto ambao saa hizi tuko nao, tunaweza sema kwamba watoto wa kizazi kipya, kuna yale mambo ambao wanataka mabadiliko itokee, lakini unaona kwamba wakitaka hayo mabadiliko, unaona kwamba hao pia wanashikwa na labda wana maisha yao inapotea, wazazi wanabaki wakiumwa, ama wazazi wanabaki wanashangaa. Sasa tunaweza sema kwamba tulipata uhuru ama bado tuko nusu uhuru? Wewe na baya, alafu ndugu yangu msimamo atachukulia hapo.
Naweza sema kuwa tulipata uhuru, hatuwezi tukalalamika, manake tulitoka kwenye tulikuwa na mahali ambapo tuko sasa hivi. Naweza sema ni pazuri tukilinganisha na mahali tulikuwa pale awali, lakini uhuru wetu haujakomaa. Itatuchukua muda na tuweze kuikuza hadi wakati ambapo tutafika mahali tunasema kuwa sasa hivi tunajivunia na tunaburudika ndani ya uhuru wetu. Ukiangalia nchi ambazo tunataka kujilinganisha nazo kama nchi ya Amerika, utapata kuwa nchi hizi pia walikuwa wamepitia mitego hizi, na pia walikuwa wamepitia shughuli ambazo tunapitia sasa hivi, na iliwachukua miaka ili wafike mahali ambapo wako sasa hivi. Na hata hao ukienda kwenye nchi zao, hakuna ile nchi imekaa starehe wakisema kuwa sisi tuko na uhuru na kila kitu na nchi inaendeshwa vizuri. Hao pia wanapata kila wakati kuna kile kitu mnapigania. Sisi wa Kenya tulijivunia sana mwaka wa 2010 wakati ambapo tulikuwa tunaidhinisha katiba mpya, na tukasema kuwa sasa tumefika. Lakini baada ya kupigania katiba mpya, tukakuja tukagundua kumbe tulipigania katiba tuko nayo, lakini wale ambao wana jukumu la kutekeleza huu katiba ndio sasa hatuna, na huo ndio vita tunapigania sasa hivi, ili tuweze kupata viongozi ambao watatuwakilisha na waweze kutekeleza katiba vilivyo. Sasa vita kama hizi za kisiasa huwa haviishi, tunazidi kukomaa kila ujao, na maombi letu sisi kama Wakenya ni tuzidi kukomaa ili ifike wakati ambapo zile vitu tutakuwa tunapigania havitakuwa ni zizi vitu za msingi kama katiba kutotekelezwa, lakini tutakuwa tunapigania jinsi ya kuboresha ile katiba na kuhakikisha kuwa tumekitekeleza kwa njia ufaao.
Okay, asante sana. Kuna maswali hapa yanaulizwa, kama sitakuwa nimejibu sawa sawa, ndugu yangu msimamo utanisaidia. Kuna mtu ameuliza yatima. Yatima ni yule ambaye labda tuseme mtoto ama mtu ambaye amepoteza mama na baba, ukibaki anaitwa umebaki mtoto yatima, au baba au mama. Then mfumo pia tunaweza sema kwamba mfumo ni system ambayo inatumika. Sasa kama sijajibu vizuri ama kama sijajibu vizuri, unaweza nikosoa msimamo. Asante sana.
Umejibu vilivyo, ni vivyo hivyo. Hivyo ulivyojibu ni vivyo hivyo, hakuna makosa hapo. Mfumo ni system, lakini na hilo lingine ni yani hakuna baya hapo, hakuna baya hapo.
Asante sana.
Lakini labda nichukulie pale Nyabaya ameacha. Mimi nasema hivi shida mimi sioni kwamba labda ni katiba, kwa sababu tangia wale wananchi walikuwa na amana, viongozi walikuwepo, ile kwamba tu mtu akiingia ndani ya uongozi basi anafanya yale ambayo ni ya kitaifa. Kuna kule kumnyamazisha mwananchi, kwa sababu bado anaona kwamba kuna matumaini kwamba akiangalia hapa kuna unafuu, pale kuna unafuu, akiingia hospitali kuna unafuu, akiangalia pengine infrastructure inaendelea. Sasa hata kama ndio wanafuata katiba ya chama, ama hata kama ndio kuna vile ambavyo mtu ameingia labda kwenye uongozi kwa njia ya mlango wa nyuma, lakini sasa anayaacha yale, anasema madamu nishapata hii nafasi ya uongozi, basi wacha nitumikie taifa langu kwa moyo mmoja, nihakikishe kwamba nitatoa makali yangu, nitafanya yale ambayo yatampendeza mwananchi. But kile ambacho kinawakasirisha wana Afrika Mashariki kwa sasa hivi ni viongozi kuchukulia kwamba uongozi ni wao. Wao ndio kusema, wao wanaweza manage bunge, wao wanaweza manage kila sehemu, wao wanaweza manage kila mahali, kiasi kwamba mwananchi ameachwa nje kabisa, wakati yeye ndiye mlengwa, kwa sababu kiongozi pale kazi yake kubwa ni utumishi, kumtumikia yule ambaye ameweza kumweka katika uongozi huo. Sasa kama huyu ndio amebanwa zaidi, basi haina budi kulipuka, either kuna katiba ama hakuna katiba, lakini mwananchi kila anahitaji ni kuona kiongozi wake anamfanyia yale ambayo yanatija. Ikifikia hatua kwamba yani mwananchi hapewe nafasi, ama viongozi ambao wanasimama na wananchi kama wamebeba uzito na ujumbe wa mwananchi hawatendei haki, ama yoyote ambaye anakinzana haswa na serikali, basi labda yeye ndio adui. Maana ndivyo ilivyo sasa hivi katika hii Afrika Mashariki. Usipokuwa pamoja na serikali, wewe unakuwa ni adui. Huku kutompa mwananchi sikio, hii ndio ambao nasema ni mlipuko wa volkano. Huu ndio mlipuko wa volkano.
Unadhani kwa nini sana sana hao maviongozi ambao labda wameingia katika usukani kwa njia vyovyote, labda umeingia kwa mlango ya nyuma ama umeingia kwa dirisha, na kabla hujaingia unakaa ni kule mtu ambaye anaongea na mwananchi, anamwambia mimi nikipata nafasi, jambo la kwanza ni kwamba mimi ndawasikiza, lakini unapata wakishapata ile usukani inakawa ni kama wananchi ambao ulikuwa unaongea nao ukawaambia kwamba nawasikiza, wanakaa ni kama adui wako, ama wakikukosoa kama ufanye au ufanye ama utendi jambo njema, unaona kwamba huyu jambo la kwanza labda ni kumtoa uhai ama kumnyamazisha kwa njia vyovyote ambayo ni nini haswa huwa inafika, ama ni nini moyo kipi wa viongozi wako nacho, ambapo ukimkosoa ama ukimwambia ukweli unaona kama wewe ni adui wake?
Kwanza tuelewe kwamba wengine wanaingia katika huu uongozi, kaka yangu hapa, ni kwamba wanaingia hapa kama kujificha. Imekuwa msitu wa kuweza kujificha. Unajua umefanya yasiyofaa, maybe pengine umeweza kula hela za umma, ama umeweza kugrab mahali, ama umeweza kufanya yasiyofaa. Sasa kuepuka mkono wa sheria ni lazima ujikurubishe tena kwa mwananchi tena, ama utafute njia yoyote ya kuweza kubaki kwenye pawa ama kuingia kwenye pawa, ili kuepukana na shoka la sheria. Na pindi unapopata hii nafasi, hautaweza kumjali ule, kwa sababu lengo lako halikuwa pale. Lengo lako lilikuwa ni kujiendeleza, haswa kuyafanya yasiyofaa, huku ikiwa una mwamvuli ambao umekulinda. Na ndio maana utakuta viongozi hawa huwa kwanza, jambo la kwanza kishapata uongozi, basi utafuta watu wake wa karibu ambao ataweza kuwakunja, kuweza kuwakunja. Na kama hakunjiki, basi hauna budi ila kutimuliwa pale, kwa sababu utaonekana kama muasi haswa katika nafasi hizo, unaona. So haya ndo mambo mimi kama msimamo yananichanganya, kwa sababu ikiwa haswa kiongozi una lengo la mwananchi, una lengo la taifa, basi haina budi mwananchi hana jinsi, hana lingine. Haja yake ni kuona kwamba rasilimali zinalindwa vizuri, pesa zake zinalindwa vizuri na zinafanya yale ambayo yanatija, kuliko kwamba unakuta kwamba sasa wanaofaidi wachache, wengi ni wao ambao wanafanywa kanga wenye chongo, kufukulia wenye macho. Yani wanatakiwa tu ni kama vile jibwa tu, natakiwa wakati wa uwindaji, mawindo akishapatikana basi huo mfupa atafanya kurushiwa tena na kuambia ondoka hapo kale kule. Ndivyo ambavyo wananchi wanafanywa. Ikifika kwa watu wa debe hivi tunakaribia kura kama hivi, kila neno litazuka pale kwamba mimi nitafanya hili, nitafanya hili, nitafanya hili. Ndio kule ambako lugha anatangulia kusema kwamba ni nguo ambayo imeshachakaa, sasa unaibandika bandika viraka tu, unaona. So mwananchi akishachoka hana budi ila sasa kuamua, acha niingie kichwa, kama nitakufa, lakini lazima mimi nitoke nijitetee. Ndio nakuta sasa mambo ni kama haya ambayo tunayo hapa. Lakini mara nyingi hao watu wanaingia kwenye power kwa ajili ya kujificha na kuepukana na shoka, kwa sababu wao wanajua ni nini haswa ambao wamekifanyia hili taifa, na huenda pengine uongozi unaoingia utaweza kuamilika zaidi. Basi upige au kivyovyote hawa watu kutimuka kwenye mamlaka inakuwa ngumu, unaona. Lakini vile vile kukubali kushaurika inakuwa ngumu, kwa sababu hawapo hapo, wapo kwa ajili ya tumbo zao na kwa ajili ya masuala yao, unaona bwana. Mimi nitaachia hapo kaka.
Asante sana. Unataka kusema kwamba wengi wao wanaingia katika uongozi ili uongozi ambao wako nayo ikae kama ngao ambao unajikinga nacho kwa yale maovu unafanyia nchi yako, labda tunaweza sema hivyo. Kabisa, hilo mimi ndio kubwa zaidi, kwa sababu ni kitu gani, hebu niambie, ni kitu gani mtu anabaki katika mamlaka miaka 40 kama naamini akiachilia kiti basi hawa amekiachilia kwa mtu ambaye ataweza kumlinda. Na ndio maana unakuta sasa ikifika wakati wa kuweza kuteua kama ni nyadhifa za mawaziri, basi watu wanachukuana wao kwa wao, yani watu hawana tajriba, hawana uwezo huo, lakini kwa sababu ni wa jamii inaletwa kwetu. Sasa tumewapa waziri wawili hapa, tumewapa hii serikali ni yenu, maana tumewapa waziri watatu wametoka kwenu. Hii kitu lakini ni kinyume. Okay, asante sana. Hebu sasa tuende sehemu za mwisho ya hii kipindi chetu. Mimi nataka kujua, kwa sababu naweza sema kwamba leo ndio siku yangu ya kwanza ambao nakuja hewani tangu tuzike hayati Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. Mimi naweza sema kwamba nimepata bahati kuwa katika msafara wake kama mwanahabari. Mimi nilikuwa, wakati mambo nilikuwa Kisumu, nikapata bahati kabisa sana kutokea Kisumu, na nilikuwa karibu sana. Jambo moja tu ambacho tulishindwa ni ile kupiga picha, hiyo ndio tulishindwa, lakini nilipata bahati ya kukua karibu. Na ukiangalia wakati ambapo viongozi walikuwa wanatoa hisia zao ama walikuwa wanatoa maelezo yao kuhusu Raila Amolo Odinga, walikuwa wamemsifia sana. Na unaona kwamba hapo ni tofauti na hapo awali, wakati ambapo walikuwa yuko hai, ambapo kuna majina mengi ambayo labda walikuwa namuita nayo, ilikuwa ni kisiasa. Ulikuwa unapata ni mtu ambaye hakukuwa na kasirika, kama kuna siku yenye wale ambao walimtusi ama walisema maneno ambayo si za kumkejeli. Hakuna mahali ambayo katika historia ambayo nimeona kwamba amepeleka mtu kotini. Ukiangalia na wanasiasa wengine, labda mtu akikwambia maneno mabaya utaona kwamba nakupeleka kotini. Na jambo ambalo mimi nilisikia viongozi wakisema kwamba watafuata zile vitu ambazo Raila Amolo Odinga alikuwa na pigania. Na ukiangalia kwa kweli, labda yale maneno yalikuwa tu siku ile ya kutufurahisha tu ama kufurahisha nchi, wakati ambapo alikuwa anapatiwa heshima zake za mwisho. Na labda nikianza na Nyabaya, na tunataka tukue tu wa kweli tu, unaona kama maneno ambayo viongozi walikuwa wanasema wakati wa kupatia heshima zake za mwisho na kusema kwamba tutaitimia ama tutafanya mambo ambayo alikuwa anataka yatimie, unadhani ilikuwa ya ukweli ama ilikuwa tu kupumbaza tu sisi macho kama wapiga kura ama kama Wakenya? Mr. Nyabaya.
Asante sana ndugu Benson. Kwanza kabisa wacha niseme kuwa sisi kama Waafrika ni kawaida yetu mtu anapoaga dunia huwa wakati anaposindikizwa ni vigumu sana upate mtu akiongelea mabaya. Haimaanishi kuwa wakati mtu anapoaga huwa inapata kama hakuwa na mabaya. Utapata hata ule mtu uliogombana naye baada ya masaa machache akaweza kuaga, ukija kuulizwa kumhusu, mara nyingi sisi Waafrika huchagua kuzungumzia mazuri wake. Pengine naweza sema inaweza kuwa ni kwa njia nyingine ya kumpatia mtu fursa ya kuanza maisha mapya anapoachana na sisi dunia. Lakini tukiangalia kile kilichotendeka wakati Raila alikuwa ameaga, kando na kuwa ni tabia ya Waafrika kunenea mema na kuyapuuza yale mabaya ambayo walikuwa wananena hapo awali, kuna wale pia walikuwa wanazungumza kwa kisiasa. Kumbuka kuwa Raila ni yule mtu alikuwa na wafuasi wengi kwenye pembe zote nchini Kenya, na kisiasa inamaanisha kwa wakati anapoaga dunia, na ni yeye tu ndiye alikuwa anawapatia direction ama alikuwa anawapatia mwelekeo, akiwaambia ni kulia ni kulia, akiwaambia ni kushoto ni kushoto. Sasa kila mtu lazima angenena mazuri pale ili aweze kuwa na fursa ya kuja kuridhi hawa watu ambao Raila alikuwa akiwapa mwelekeo. Kila mtu angeweza kuongea kana kwamba alikuwa ana umuhimu au alikuwa anamvalu Raila sana, ndiposa siku nyingine akikuja kuwaomba kura ama akuje kuwaomba usaidizi, msianze kusema kuwa huyu hakuongea mazuri kuhusu Raila. So kulikuwa pia na kujipendekeza. Unapoangalia jinsi rais alikuwa ameendesha hilo shughuli, kuanzia na jinsi walipoleta mwili wake kutoka kule India hadi ile state funeral na kila kitu, hakuwa na uifanya kwa sababu mapenzi aliyokuwa na Raila, lakini kila mtu alikuwa anatenda kitendo chake pale akipiga hesabu na siasa ya siku zijazo. Atakuja kusema si mnaona mimi nilikuwa napenda Raila, nilisimama na yeye hivyo hivyo na vitu kama hivyo. Wakati kwa Afrika, kwa jamii ambayo natoka huko kitambo, mtu akiaga, tuseme ndugu yako akiaga, mmoja wa ndugu wake ndiye alikuwa anaenda, kulikuwa na ile sherehe ya kurithi bibi pale. So ule mtu alikuwa anataka arithi bibi, kuna jinsi angejipendekeza kwenye mazishi, ndiposa wakati sasa sherehe au shughuli ikianza rasmi, alikuwa na hapa hand pale akizungumza, watu wanasema kweli huyu jinsi alivyoongea anaweza kulinda mali ya marehemu. So kina William na politicians walikuwa wanajaribu kuonyesha kuwa wanaweza kulinda mali wa Raila ambao ni kura zake. Hakuna mtu alikuwa anazungumza pale kwa ukweli. Na ukiangalia kuna wale walikuwa wanajaribu tena kujionyesha kama kina Babu Owino kuwa hao sasa pia ni wababe wametosha, na kuna wale pia walikuwa wanajaribu kunyenyekea ili watu waweze kuwaonea huruma. Wacha nitaachilia hapo tu.
Okay, kuna ndugu yangu hapa at pamoja Paijem 9V. Leo ambia kaka mimi nilikuwa Kisumu.
Aliambia kaka wewe ulikuwa Kisumu.
Mwambie nimekuwa Kisumu, nikatoka huko nikaenda mpaka siku ya
Bondo.
Bondo.
Yeah.
Mwambie mimi nilikuwa huko, nilikuwa kwa msafara. Nilikuwepo. Saa zingine unajua, na kwa kweli kuna jambo ambalo nimegundua Nyabaya, ndugu yetu ametoka. Kuna jambo ambalo nimegundua. Kuna I could say that there's another side of Kenya that sometimes we don't experience. And I did experience it, and I've experienced it twice. The day that because the day that the body of Raila was supposed to be coming to Kisumu, the day before.
Yeah.
So there was a press at Mamboleo. So I was there because we were preparing. And so we were in the group of all the journalists in Kisumu. Let me tell you one thing. Sometimes you can access, there's some areas that you can access very easily.
Yeah.
Especially in press.
Yeah.
I realized that there are some places that I really access that I did not think that I could access. That is one. I also experienced when we went during that Teroburu. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
when we went Teroburu because the information about Teroburu, we got it in the morning because like this that we do share. So somebody shared and we saw it very late. So we were in the group of one, we used one of the media houses cars. So I will not mention. So by the time we were arriving at Opoda farm, the ceremony has just started, and the gate at Opoda farm was already yes. So we took all our cameras and everything. So when we went there, we told the guy, "Hey, who are you?" You said that we are the press. Do you know that we were allowed in? Yeah. Do you know that? So I saw not only that, I with this the Raila death and everything that happened showed me another world that I did not know about Kenya, especially when it comes to press and everything. Yeah. Sometimes it's very harsh. Then another thing is also that you also struggle. Especially I can remember when Junior came outside the house and now he was going with a group of people. I tell you, for you to get his image or for you to get that, I tell you, my friend, it is not very easy. So that is that, Nyabaya. Anyway, I know we will Msimamo ametoka, but I know we will talk about.
We will meet. Let us meet tomorrow when there is show. I'll join. I'm available. We'll meet and we'll engage.
We will engage because link. Let me see. How can I send this link? You know that Makobura usually assist me with the link. Let me see, because like I'm not very good. Makobura is very good with the IT. Now let me see if I can share the link. But Makobura usually assists me. So Makobura is usually niliingia huko. Niliingia when wakati niliingia is when like people were coming, and you know when you are after kushia Teroburu kuna lazima watu waingie kwa nyumba waseme hiyo jowi hiyo ya Opoda farm. Tuliingia na ilikuwa kupigana, unang'ang'ana, hakuna mtu atakuachia. So
everybody wants the best caption.
Yeah, everybody wants, and some of it we shared, and actually some of it I was not working for this. I was working for wacha nisitoe white. Hiyo nikitoa white nda nini? Msimamo una let me where is Makobuya? Let me see. Could that one be the link? Yes. Yeah, that's the link. Yes, I think I shared it. So and you know, there's so many things that people did not talk about, and Nyabaya, not biased, but there's something also I came to learn that day, especially for the 2 days during the burial and when we went back for Teroburu. There's something that I learned about Raila is that, you know, Raila was one person who, if he could have decided to bring the country down, he would.
Yes.
He would. And I saw this because on how people took his death so personal.
Yeah.
And people would do everything just to make sure that even for his burial. I can remember when we were in Kisumu, the candle lighting, especially at next to the place where they usually have, we call it what square. So people were dancing and they're saying that we cannot sleep at the same time Baba is sleeping. And it was at night.
Yeah.
And during that time, they dance all the way. So there's so much that somebody can derive from everything that happened when you leave the politics out of it, you know, and you look him as a person, you know, there's so much that you learn. I also had an opportunity to talk to the only father, the brother to his father, who is still alive.
Canon. What does that man eat that has kept him that old? All those years, Alogo.
Yeah, by the way, if you look at his eyelids like this.
No, he's purely Raila and his family, the face, and you don't need to ask. I know.
If you want to know somebody, the look-alike of Raila, go and look
and
that man.
And even the way he speaks like Jaramogi.
Jaramogi. So we had a conversation with him for an hour, and though it was in vernacular,
yeah,
but you learned a lot, So I tell you, if you are in this
I
field,
remember he was talking of, even described how Jaramogi married and all those kind of things.
Yeah. Let me try
from
to.
Amemo was there, I think so.
Yes, yeah. So let me try to bring in Musimamo. I wish Makobura was still in. Makobura knows how to deal with this. Sometimes I don't know what is happening. Yeah. So there's so much that we can learn, and Musimamo, let me try before we close, so that you can be part of us. And why Nyabaya was asking me, kwani umekuja? Why would I not come, Omera? Even that day before,
you obeyed the 72 hours, huh?
And we were actually, that we went up to Rusinga Highland. I went up to Boyas, and yeah. I came to learn that the people who visit Tom's Mboya site for burial, it's fully packed. It's like from morning. I was there for almost 3 to 4 hours. And people were visiting people came all the way from Mombasa. People all walked, like they come to know about Boya, and that's why, like I was telling, we were with some journalist from who does the vernacular, especially for Lowland. I told them, like, there's so many things that you people need to tell people, especially when you go. We have Arguing Skodek. Nobody's talking about Arguing Skodek. Nobody's talking about Chingoneko. Nobody talks about Nyaseda and Philemon Abongo. These are the two.
These are icons.
Yeah. Nobody talks even about the CDF when now you start to follow the historical sites. Nobody talk about Professor Muga. Nobody. There are so many that people need to talk about. Like, they need to know their history. I don't know whether I will. Makobura will come and assist me. I don't know. He's sleeping. I usually have, like, where I am, I cannot. But let me try. I have to make this one happen, so that Msimamo can come in. Let me try. Let me log in with another laptop. Then, because the one that I have sometimes has issues. So there are so many things that angalia huyu Nyabaya.
Yes.
Ona huyu ndugu yangu anasema, host, can you come in Kenya? You learn more English next. You be a president of Tanzania. I will vote for you. Yeah. Kama mwambie I was there. Msimamo kujaribu hiyo. Yeah, nadhani sasa nimeipata. By the way, I was in Kenya. If you look at, you can go to Brother Benson, you go to TikTok and see. I was in Kenya. And I'm a Kenyan. Kwa Kiswahili pia najua kuzungumza vizuri. Msimamo habari gani?
Nipo. Nimerudi kaka. Unajua nimerudi kwa jambo moja tu.
Asante.
La baba. Unajua alikuwa amemwachia mwenzangu nafasi hapa. Unajua sifa mwanadamu haipati mpaka pale siku ameondoka katika ulimwengu huu. ndio utasikia bwana Msimamo bwana alikuwa mwongeaji mzuri, bwana we alikuwa hivi. Hiyo ni jambo la kawaida.
Yeah.
Lakini hebu tuangalie hasa kwa jicho la upana zaidi. Huku kuondoka kwa mzee wetu haswa baba, unajua kwa kweli wakati ule kulikuwa na matukio mara mbili. Kuna yale tulishuhudia Nyayo, alafu pia na yale ambayo tulishuhudia haswa wakati wa mazishi, vitimbi vya wanasiasa. Yaani kiukweli hapo ndo unapojua kweli rafiki mnafiki na rafiki wa kweli. So kulikuwa na marafiki wanafiki na marafiki wa kweli.
Yeah.
Na rafiki mnafiki haswa ni yule ambaye anaweza hata kupiana hata na tuzo ya heshima na hadhi kwa mheshimiwa mwenda zake, akijisahau kwamba hiyo tuzo wala hataiona, maana tayari ashakwenda. Lakini kuna wale rafiki ambao ni wa kweli ambao wanaweza kuganda pale na kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba wamejumuika na ile familia na kuonyesha. Lakini tukirudi katika semi pia za wanasiasa, jinsi ambavyo walikuwa wamejipanga, tofauti na mara mbili yenye nimetaja, wale walizungumza Nyayo wakati ule, mimi nilikuwa naangalia kila mwanasiasa atakayezungumza pale, mwananchi pale kando atachukuliaje?
Okay, sana endelea.
Yes, kila semi inayozungumzwa pale, lakini mwananchi anaichukuliaje? Ni nani kiongozi ambaye amebeba mwananchi? So unakuta Nyayo palikuwa na vitimbi vyake, lakini haswa vitimbi vikubwa ni ile siku haswa baba tulipokuwa tunampumzisha, ambapo sifa kodo kede zilimiminika pale, wengine wakisema sisi tumeachwa ndani ya serikali na huo ndo ulikuwa muagano wetu na mzee, kwa hiyo sisi tutabaki hapa, tutasapoti serikali hii, maana baba alituambia. Wengine wakasema tunaishi hapa na mkataba bwana. Kuna mambo kadhaa ambayo tuliyapendekeza yatimizwe, lakini pia mkataba huu unaishia 2027 kwa sababu nani kasema? Kama ni kweli
na kwa nini unapata kuwa so pole sana kwa nini, mbona unapata kwamba maviongozi wanataka kwamba yale ambao wanasema tuamini sisi kwamba haya ndio ilikuwa maneno ambayo sisi wenyewe tuliwacha, ama kauli ambayo sisi tuliwachiwa, na tuamini kwamba ni hayo. Hello, Msimamo, unanipata kweli? Pole, nimefanya mpaka ukapotea. Aya, Nyabaya.
Nakupata. Hawa wazima hawa wanaotuzimia watatuzimia, lakini ule muda tutapata tuzungumze mawili, tutazungumza. So nimekupata kaka. Unajua hili swali lako ni zuri. Unajua kila mambo ngoma basi hana budi kuvutia kwake. Kuna wale ambao wanaona kifo hiki cha mzee ama kuondoka kwa mzee wao wamepata mwanya, haswa hususa wale ambao na wafananisha huku kwetu na kuku ambaye ameweza kuharibu mayai yake kuyatoa visa, kisha ghafla ananyemelea ya mwenzake kuhakikisha aidha na yeye atoe visa ama wagawane watoto ama amfukuze na anaachiwa watoto. Kwa hivyo katika hii hali nilishuhudia pale katika semi ambazo zimezungumzwa kwamba wengine pale walikuwa ni wale tu kwamba wanavuta mwamba ngoma, anavutia kwamba mimi nikichukua hii nafasi nikitengeza hii chama nikidominate na wafuasi wake wote hawa, basi huenda pengine ikaniongezea mahali nendako 2027. Unaona, na ndio maana alikuwa tunalazimishwa tuyaone haya machoni, kwa sababu pengine hata wengine waliahidiwa vyeo, lakini vile vile tulishuhudia wale ambao tayari wako ndani ya serikali wanakula mishahara, walivyokuwa wako mbele, kifua mbele, kuhakikisha wao wanaamini kwamba tuliachwa hapa, unaona. Lakini kuna wale ambao walisimama hakika kiukweli, haswa na yale matamshi ambayo mzee aliweza kuyaacha na maneno yake ya mwisho aliyoyanukuu yeye mwenyewe kwamba tuko hapa kimkataba, hatujakuwa ndani ya serikali, na nani alisema hatutaweza kusimamisha kiongozi. So kwa kweli kuna ile kwamba tunalazimishwa tuone kwamba watu wana wema kwetu, lakini ni kwa ajili ya faida zao. Unaona, ni kwa ajili ya faida zao, kwa sababu tumtazame mwananchi pale haswa alikuwa yuko katika fungu gani. Hawa wote walipiga speech, lakini je, nani alishangiliwa zaidi? Nani alikubalika zaidi? Utakuta ni wachache zaidi ndio ambao waliweza kuamsha popo ule umati ambao ulikuwa kando pale, kuweza kwamba kusimama nao, kwamba akizungumza unakuta umati nao unajibu kule. Lakini kuna wengine pale walizungumza tu akapiga pang'ang'a, ikazoeleka tu ile kelele, kwamba kumbadilisha mtu mawazo ni ngumu, kwa sababu mwananchi kila anahitaji ni kuona kwamba misingi ambayo mzee ameweza kuiacha imeendelezwa kikamilifu. Misingi ya kuweza kuitetea katiba, kuweza kupigania haki, kuweza kusimama na Mkenya, basi iendelezwe kisawa. Sasa unakuta wale ambao wanataka kuendeleza misingi hii ni wale ambao tangia awali walikuwa wanaiponda. Na hata pengine baadhi yao kusema kwamba wataweza kusafirishana kwenda Bondo, wengine pasipo kujua, kama tunakumbuka kauli kama hizo. So kwa kweli unaweza funguka tu baba, unaweza funguka tu.
Okay, mimi nilikuwa nataka niulize huyo ndugu yangu leo, kwa sababu yeye pia ni mtu ambaye amekuwa katika siasa hii, na kuna swali ambayo mimi nilikuwa nayo. Wewe maliza, alafu mimi ndamuuliza swali. Nataka yeye pia nijibu.
Kwa hiyo mimi langu ni kwamba mwozesha nyama siku zote ni mwenye mtego. Kama ameshatega, lakini ule mtego huwezi kufuatafuata kuangalia na mkabala, utakwenda kusikia kwamba nyama alikamatwa kitambo, lakini hashaoza. Kwa hiyo wenye kuharibu chama ni wana ODM sasa hivi, wahakikisha kwamba hiki chama wameweza kukilinda, wameweza kupitisha kile ambacho wananchi wanaafiki, wala si kile ambacho viongozi wanaafiki then wanaleta kwa wananchi ili waamini.
Okay.
Hiyo ndio tofauti nitaka kuzungumzia kaka, nikimalizia kwamba kama tunataka kuipeleka legacy ya mzee mahali ambapo alitufikisha ili kuweza kuiona Kanani, basi ni kuhakikisha kwamba kila resolution yenye itapitishwa pale, basi wao wamekaa mkao mmoja, na wakitoka ionekane ni sauti haswa ya ODM, ambayo si sauti tu ya Nyanza, ni sauti ya kila mahali, kama alivyotangulia kusema ndugu yangu hapa kwamba wapwani tangia miaka na mikaka tulikuwa tumeenzi na kusimama na mzee miaka yote ile. Kwa hivyo kuondoka kwake pia ilikuwa pigo kwetu, lakini vile vile naamini kwamba kwa wale ambao bado haswa, maana mimi peke yangu ndio ambao kidogo niliamua wacha nipumzike kwanza, lakini kuna wale ambao naamini bado wako haswa katika hiki chama, basi wakiendeleza katika njia ambayo itakuwa ni ya usawa zaidi. Wasifanye tu kugawana hapa katikati, kwa sababu wachache wameingia hapa katikati kuweza kuchafua hiki chama, basi watakisambaratisha, ila tu washikane kwa pamoja, hakikisha kwamba kile wanakizungumza ni maafikiano ya mwananchi, wala si maafikiano ya viongozi. Asante.
Okay, usitoke kwa sababu ndugu yetu ameenda. Mimi pia bado nataka kukuuliza swali, ndio saa zingine unaweza akatufafanulia tu zaidi tu tukoje kujua. Unajua, ukiangalia maisha ya Raila Odinga, na naweza sema kwamba ni shule ambao watu wengi wamepitia siasa zake, ama watu wengi wamekuja kuwa katika siasa kwake kulingana na yani maono yake na vitu ambazo alikuwa anafanya, ambapo mtu anajua kwamba hichi ndiyo alikuwa anapigania. Na kwa nini unapata kwamba maviongozi kila wakati wakipata nafasi pale jukwani wanazidi kutuambia kwamba hichi ndio baba alisema tufanye, na wajui kwamba venye hao waliingia katika shule ya baba wakapendezwa na siasa zake, ndio sisi pia wengi wetu ama wengi wa Kenya zaidi wamependezwa na siasa kwa sababu ya yeye, wanajua nia na madhumuni yake ambapo alikuwa nayo kwa siasa, na pahali alikuwa anataka kuelekeza hii nchi, ama pahali ambapo alikuwa anapeleka mambo ya siasa ya hii nchi. Mbona kila siku tu tukue tu tunakumbushwa kwamba hichi na hichi na hichi? Ni kwamba kwa sababu sisi ni wapumbavu au ni wawerevu kutuliko?
Siku zote sisi tunachukua kwamba Wakenya ni wapumbavu. Ni wapumbavu, yani wao ndo wanajua zaidi kuliko ni sisi, na ndio maana hatupewi sauti yetu, haina mashiko, haisikizwi. Ni tusikize sauti zao. Yale machache wanakaa mezani kule wakiyapanga, wakiyaleta kwetu tuyaamini, na ni jambo ambalo sasa hivi ni kambe nasema limepitwa na wakati, kwa sababu kama ni baba sio hao viongozi tu, ni Wakenya walisimama naye, kwa sababu alisimama nao tangia awali. Kwa hivyo wanajisaulisha kwamba vile ambavyo wanakuta mapenzi, basi kuna mapenzi ya kweli ambayo yako kwa Mkenya dhidi ya ule kiongozi, na nashukuru kwa sababu tangia azikwe mpaka muda huu hapajapungua mtu pale. Kila siku pako pomoni hivi, kila mtu anaenda, yani inafurahisha, yani inaleta shangwe, yani tofauti haswa, hata pamoja na kupewa mazishi ya kitaifa, lakini sasa kuna ile kwamba uzalendo ndo mikili zaidi, kwamba kila mtu anaenda pale kuweza kwamba anatoa, yani ni jambo linanipa moyo kiasi kwamba hata wengine hapa sidhani kama hawa viongozi wataweza kupata kutambulika kama hivi. So kwa kweli ni kufanywa wapumbavu, kakangu, nikijibu swali lako kwamba wao ni wajue kutafuna, sisi tujue kumeza tu, wakati ili hali tunajua kutafuna na kumeza pia, kwa sababu kama ni mapenzi ya chama na mapenzi pia ya baba ambaye amekuwa nayo, tunayajua ni gani amepigia nia, tunajua ni wapi alikuwa amesimama. Kwa hivyo hawa kuja na kutuelimisha tena upya kana kwamba baba ni mgeni kwetu, na shangaa.
Hiyo inakuwa ni mimi swali ambapo mimi najiuliza sana, kwamba unapata kwamba wanarudia yale baba shatuambia, na pia wanarudia yale ambao wewe mwenyewe ukaona ukasema kwamba mimi huyu baba mimi ndafuata kanuni na utaratibu zake kulingana na kisiasa. Labda tu swali la mwisho kabla tujatoka. Wewe ukiangalia siasa kwa saizi, ama uangalie sana siasa ambayo tuko nayo, tuko na serikali ya maungano, tunaweza sema hivyo, na pia tuko na ODM kama chama, na kwa saizi tunaona labda kuanzia juzi kate, jana tuliona kwamba walizungumza ni kama wanazungumza kwa kauli moja. Lakini unadhani kule ndani kuna hiyo kauli, ama ile ilikuwa tu kutupatia moyo kwamba tuko pasawa?
Body language inasema siku zote, body language inasema, tulisoma yale ambao SG aliweza kuyazungumza pale, tuliangalia body language ya bad, kama tulifuatilia body language za viongozi zina resemble nini haswa kiko ndani ya nyoyo yao haswa. Unajua siku zote sura inasema, yani uso unazungumza. Unaweza cheka lakini pua ikawa inasema lake, ama jicho linasema lake. Kwa kweli kiku vyangu mimi ile yote ni kama, japo walinifurahisha kule kwamba wamekuja tena kwa pamoja waendelee pale pale, lakini si kumaanisha kwamba pale ndani ndo kuna uelewano. Maana tukumbuke ni juzi tu wengine walivyojitokeza aswa kimasomaso, hata tukawa tuna wasiwasi kwamba labda pengine SG hawezi endelea pale kutokana na yale mambo alikuwa amezungumzwa. Sikutegemea kwamba Sifuna tabaki pale pale, arudi tena ataweza kutuambia yale ambayo anaweza kutuambia pale, na pia sidhani kama yale alizungumza Sifuna pale wengine waliridhika nayo, kwa sababu wao wanaamini kwamba wako ndani ya broad based government na wako under uongozi ambao wameachiliwa. Kama baba alikuwa pale na ameenda, basi ameacha kiongozi, yule kiongozi yuko pale aendeleze.
Okay.
Lakini kuna wale ambao wanasema kweli huyu bwana ana chama chake, aendeleze yake na sio ODM tuendeleze yetu. Baba hata hajatuambia haya. Baba alitukizuia tukasema kwamba kweli tumeingia hapa na mkataba wetu wa NADCO, na mpaka sasa hivi kutoka waungane broad based government hata jambo moja la NADCO sijaliona mimi kwanza kutimilizwa. Hiyo ndo la ajabu, ushaona? So nashangaa hii broad based government, yani sijaisoma mpaka sasa hivi mimi kama msimamo. Sitaki niingilie sana kwa sababu siku hizi naona uhuru wetu wa kuzungumza pia nao wametiwa kibindoni, sie tukajipata pia kushika hoda, unaona? So lazima tukizungumza pia twende na hivyo, ngawaje angalau hizi kauli ziwaendee viongozi wote kwamba Mkenya ama sauti kama hizi si za ubaya, zote ni kwa ajili taifa letu lendi sawa. Wakirekebisha hata kama ni serikali iliyopo, lakini ile kile ambacho kina makosa basi hakuna mwananchi atazungumza. Maana haja ya mwananchi ni kuona kwamba ni taifa ambalo litakuwa linamjali na security, ni taifa ambalo litakuwa huduma zinapatikana kisawasawa, miundombinu inaendelea, lakini pia mali ya taifa inalindwa vilivyo. So kwa kweli ukweli mimi nitaachia pale kaka yangu kwa leo kwamba ODM wajipange. Huu mgawanyiko wao wa sisi tuko huku wengine wako huku ndio kikuua chama, maana ukimkaribisha jirani lazima umwangalie kwamba ni nini kilichomfukuza kwao kwanza mpaka amekuja kutaka hifadhi kwako.
Hiyo lazima uanga. Ebu unajua mimi sasa niko na maswali mengi, na kwanza hii inaenda na historia. Unajua ni jambo gani ambazo labda tunaweza kujifunza kwa kifo cha Raila, sana sana ukikuja kuangalia uhuru na demokrasia ya chama, kwa sababu ukiangalia historia ya nchi yetu na historia ya kidemokrasia vya vyama ambazo sisi tunavyo, unapata kwamba hizi vyama zinakaa ni za wenyewe, na unapata kwamba tuseme kama saizi tumetoweka na Raila Amolo Odinga, unapata kwamba chama ni hafifu. Si unaweza sema kwamba uweze sema kwamba chama iko imara kwa sababu kutoweka kwake inamaanisha kwamba ende alikuwa ametengeneza msingi bora na iko na mizizi, na yeye kutoka unapata kwamba chama inayumba yumba, na tumeona na vyama vingi ambapo wengi watu ambao walikuwa wamesimama imara katika hizo vyama unapata kwamba wakitoweka vyama vinakufa. Kwanza kabisa mfano tuliona pale KANU wenye Moi alitolewa akaenda, ni kama chama ikaenda kudidimia. Tukaona pale PNU wenye President Kibaki alitoka hivyo hivyo. Ni somo gani labda ambapo watu wa ODM sasa wanaweza kuwa nayo, ni waone ni wapi tunaweza rekebisha ili chama ibaki imara?
Asante. Kwa haraka haraka, kwanza chama si ya wanasiasa, chama ni cha Wakenya wote, ndio maana unakuta kina mizizi kila mahali. Kwanza wagundue hao wanasiasa wote, wagundue kwamba wao ni wawakilishi, lakini wenye chama haswa ni wananchi huku. Ili kukidumisha chama kidumu, lazima mwananchi pia apewe sikio lake na maoni yake. Mfano, watataka kuchagua uongozi mpya wa chama, isiwe tu ni hilo jopo peke yake tu ndio limechagua. Mwananchi pia ahusishwe. Lakini kama itakuwa ni hiyo chama, watavutana wengine huku na wengi wape. Kama wengi ni wale ambao wanaongozwa na tamaa za tumbo lao, basi chama ndio kimeshakufa mazima, maana hakitaendelezwa upo. Kwa hivyo ukudumu kwa chama kama hiki kongwe na chama ambacho kimetawala muda mrefu kama hiki na kimebeba haswa karibu taifa, basi Wakenya wapewe nafasi ya kuweza kuamua baada ya kuondokewa nani anafaa. Kuwa na public participation, kuhakikisha kwamba wao wamepewa nafasi kuweza kuparticipate, kumchagua yule ambaye atakuwa mrithi kamili, maana wananchi wanajua haswa kuweza kuwachagua hao viongozi, na si wao viongozi kujichagua wao wenyewe kwa wenyewe, tena kumletea mwananchi huku. Itakuwa ni kama kumlazimisha, lazima. Mbuzi utakunywa maji ili hali ushamfikisha kwenye mto. Mbuzi ukishamfikisha kwenye mto, mwache amue mwenyewe kunywa maji bwana. Huwezi mlazimisha. Kwa hiyo mwananchi itakuwa kama unamlazimisha sasa kunywa maji. Asante.
Asante sana kakangu, mimi leo nimefurahi sana kuwa na wewe katika kipindi. Najua tunakutana sehemu kwa pale kwa Njiru, na hapo awali tulikuwa tunakutana Mtembei. Mimi nimeshukuru sana. Naona tumefanya kipindi kizuri, na natumai kesho pia nikipata nafasi nikuwepo hapa, tutajadili mambo mengi, kwa sababu kuna mengi ya kuzungumziwa, sana sana swala la kisiasa la nchi. Bila Raila Amolo Odinga ni siasa aina gani? Vile vile chama cha ODM ni chama ambayo labda watu wanasema vingi sana kuhusu chama, kwa sababu labda watu walikuwa wanaona kwamba chama hichi kilikuwa kimeshikiliwa sana na baba, na venye baba yuko kitakuwa, tuangalie miaka 5 ijazo, itakuwa ni chama ambayo iko na ile sura ya Kenya, kwa sababu unapata vyama vingi ukiziangalia unapata kwamba hazina ile sura ya nchi. Labda unapata kwamba ni chama ambacho kiko katika mikoa fulani ama sehemu fulani, lakini ODM unapata kwamba iko na sura ya nchi. Pili, unajua katika historia ya vyama, ODM ndio imekuwa katika siasa for takriban miaka 20 katika upinzani, ambapo ijatokea sasa. Je, miaka 5 ijazo itakuwa bado iko na hiyo sura la nchi, ama itakuwa inabaki ni chama ambacho kitakuwa tu iko na ushawishi mkubwa sehemu za Luo Nyanza? Hayo ndo maswali.
Hapo kuna maswali kaka mengi, lakini ni kama nilivyotangulia kusema, waliochiwa hiki chama kama viongozi wafanye maamuzi yenye tija, maamuzi ambayo ni ya kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba legacy ya mzee imedumu. Lakini kama itakuwa huku kuna mwingiliano kama hivi ndugu yangu amesema hapa kwa comment section kwamba mwanzilishi wa chama hiki alikuwa baba na Ruto, sijakataa mimi. Lakini sasa kama utakuwa umekiasi chama umeenda umetapatapa huko, umeona umeharibu sehemu zingine, sasa ndo unarudi hafla kuja kukumbuka kwamba jamani mimi si itakuwa ni kuchelewa. So huyu ana mara mbili, anakuja either kuja kuharibu ama anakuja kwa sababu either kuja kuhakikisha kwamba kuna angalau amejinusuru mali fulani, amekusanya umma ambao mzee ameuacha ili kuweza kujitengenezea nafasi yake. Sasa unajua sisi tunachukuliwa wapumbavu, lakini kwa kweli wapumbavu Kenya waliisha kitambo. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio hali ambayo naweza nikachangia kaka yangu kwa hilo kwamba chama wakitaka vizuri kidumu, basi warudi wote pamoja, wafanye maamuzi yenye tija, wakichukue chama kama chama, ikiwezekana pia wasimamishe mgombeaji wao ama wajiunge mahali ambapo mwananchi yupo. Lakini wakitaka kutatiza, wakitaka kuwa chama waende mahali mwananchi hayupo, then walete sasa sera za kuweza kumlazimisha mwananchi aamini aende mahali ambako mama yangu mimi sina semi. Ikifika hapo sichemi kitu ndugu yangu kwa leo. Asante kwa kuwa nanyi na pia kwa kujiunga nanyi Ben.
Aya, asante sana. Labda tu kabla sijamaliza, wacha nichukue, usitoke bado, wacha nichukue shukrani, nipigie ndugu yangu at Pam TV Pam J9V. Thank you so much Gibson Corner, thank you so much. Labda nikuache na haya, unaweza tafsiri haya. Kuna ndugu yangu mwingine hapa ametema maisha haiishi kwa kupoteza vitu, maisha yanaisha kwa kupoteza uhai tu. Jamaa amesema hivyo. Wewe kwako unaweza sema nini? Ama anamaanisha nini huyu babangu? Nikusomee tena. Anasema maisha hayaishi kwa kupoteza vitu, maisha yanaisha kwa kupoteza uhai tu.
Naweza kubaliana na yeye kwa kiasi fulani hivi. Kwa kweli maisha ni kwa kutoa uhai, kwa sababu tunagundua kuna wanaofilisika kisha mwisho wakarudi tena upya. Kumaanisha maisha bado yanaendelea. Kwa hivyo naweza nikakubaliana naye kwa njia moja ama nyingine kwamba labda kuondokea kwa baba haimaanishi kwamba ndo chama kimesambaratika. In fact, kama Wakenya tunataka tuendeleze yale ambayo mzee ameweza kuyaacha, na ndo nakuta sasa hivi hata mimi na wewe tunakesha hapa ni kwa ajili ya huyu mzee, kwa maana tumefunguliwa milango ya kuweza kuwa na uhuru wa kuweza kuzungumza. Sasa legacy hii kama tutawaachilia watu ambao hawaitaki lakini wanajifanya wanaitaka sasa hivi, mwisho wa siku wanaibana kimpango, inatamaushwa.
Okay. Nimekuelewa. Nimekuelewa, na nilikuwa nasema ukiangalia ODM, naweza sema kwamba maisha ya ODM yeziisha, lakini itaisha tu kama wa ODM hao wenyewe wameamua kuiaua. Ndio sasa hiyo ndio uhai wake. Uhai iko kwa hao wanachama wenyewe na wafuasi, ambapo wakiamua kuiua
na si wao wenyewe, wale viongozi
yes,
wachache, viongozi wachache, si wananchi wote, maana wenyewe ni wale wananchi wote ambao wako Kwale, wako Northeastern, wako Nyanza, wako Central, wako everywhere. Hao ndo wenye chama na hawana shida. Shida ni hawa viongozi ambao tumewakabidhi majukumu katika kutuongoza katika kichama.
Okay.
Wakae chini, wahusishi hawa wenye chama nao wenye chama ambao ni wananchi ambao ndo wengi, wawasikize maoni yao, wachague kiongozi atakayekisimamia, then wakitoka pale chama kitaendelea na hii. Lakini kama watafanya mmenyano hapa, huyu anajua zaidi ya huyu, huyu anajua baba alimwaga wakati huu akamwambia hili, wakati huo maneno wa mwisho hii si ndoto ya mchana jamani.
Asante sana kakangu kwa kuchukua nafasi kukuwa na mimi katika kipindi. Tumechukua takriban masaa matatu, na mimi nataka kuchukua fursa hii sana sana kushukuru wale ambao walikuwa wanatazama. Nataka kumshukuru ndugu yangu @PamJ9V kwa kukuwa na sisi na pia kutoa wazo ni mzuri. Mimi nakushukuru sana, na pia naomba Mungu akuzidishie. Kesho pia ukipata nafasi uungane na mimi ama ndugu yangu ambaye atakuwa kwa studio ili tuendelee na mazungumzo, bila kusahau @tumatuma I2D pia kwa kuwa na sisi na kutoa maoni yako. Ndio raha yetu, ukitoa maoni. Kama kuna mahali labda leo tulikuwa tunazungumza umeona hatujazungumza pazuri, pia tunaomba msamaha. Kama kuna mahali pia unaona tunaweza rekebisha ili tukuwe na mazungumzo ambao inaleta thamani katika nchi yetu na katika pali ambao sisi tunaishi, kwa sababu unajua dhamira kubwa ya sisi kukua katika hewani ni kuzungumzia yale ambayo yanatokea. Tujiongeze maarifa. Mungu ametubariki kwa njia tofauti tofauti, kwa sababu msimamo, kuna njia ambayo Mungu amembariki ambapo mimi Mungu hajanibariki sana sana, na pia ndugu zangu ambao wanaongea na sisi kupitia pale mtandao wanatoa comments. Kuna ile baraka labda Mungu amekupatia ambao sisi umetuzidisha. So pia usikue mchoyo wa baraka ambao Mungu amekupatia. Kuja pia utuambie sisi tukuje kujifundisha kupitia hayo. Kwa hayo machache, wacha nipatie ndugu yangu aseme labda kwa watu ambao walikuwa wanatutazama na kwa wale ambao watakuja kututazama baadaye.
Asante ndugu yangu kwa nafasi, ndugu yangu Ben, kwa nafasi ya kipekee. Mimi niwakumbushe tu ndugu zangu wa Kenya kwamba likupigalo limekufunza. Likupigalo limekufunza, na kosa la mwaka huu basi ni marekebisho ya mwaka mwingine. Jamani, huu mgomba tusike ungali wima, maana tukiacha ukianguka basi tunakosa huo mgomba, tutaukosa, na hiyo ndizi tutaikosa, maana huenda ikawa bado ni changa. Mwisho kabisa, ni bora ukose huyo mtoto lakini ubaki na mbeleko kuliko kukosa mtoto na ukose mbeleko. Jamani, tuenda kwa 2027 si mbali. Tusijisahau kama Wakenya, tujue kwamba tuna jukumu zito haswa la kuweza kuliangalia taifa kwa jicho pana zaidi, ili tukapate kiongozi aliyo bora, wala si bora kiongozi. Asante, mi tu ndo nitasunga kwa hapo. Asante.
Thank you so much, my brother, for taking your time to be with us. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank you on the comment section for joining me. And tomorrow also we will be here with I might host, or Makobura might host. Whoever will be hosting, kindly join. And if you're new here in Brother Benson Media, is your first time being here, just subscribe to the channel so that when we are having a conversation like this, YouTube will notify you so that you can join in. For now, bye and see you. May God bless you, and may God bless our beautiful country, Kenya, and all leaders that have been given the opportunity to lead us. May they have wisdom so that they can lead and make sure that the challenges that the country is facing are solved. Thank you so much once again for taking your time to be with us. We don't take it for granted. 3 hours is not a joke for you to engage us. Thank you so much, and may God bless you, and may you achieve all that you desire in life. Thank you so much. May God bless you again.